All right, back with another video, everybody on YouTube. Positive atheism is false. What is positive atheism? Positive atheism is the proposition God does not exist, or the proposition there are no gods. That is positive atheism. There are a lot of people in this world who are positive atheists. A lot of people. And they pretend as if they are negative atheists. I'm not going to say all, I'm not going to say all, but a lot of people in this world are positive atheists disguised as negative atheists. And now you might be wondering, what is a negative atheist? A negative atheist is someone who lacks belief in a God, someone who will tell you they are unconvinced that there are any gods. And when you ask them, why are you unconvinced? They will say that they haven't seen any convincing evidence, or they haven't been presented with any convincing evidence. Now, it is not for me to say that they are lying, so I don't say that they are lying. What I point out is you uttering the words, I'm unconvinced, does not entail that there are no gods, does not entail that the Christian God doesn't exist. All it does is indicate that your level of persuasion on whether or not God exists is not at that place where you can say that you believe that God exists. It is a psychological report of your level of persuasion. You're unconvinced. Okay. I don't say that I'm unconvinced about Santa Claus. I don't say that I'm unconvinced about leprechauns. I don't say that I'm unconvinced about um, the tooth fairy. I say unequivocally, Santa Claus does not exist. The tooth fairy does not exist. And leprechauns do not exist. I say those words unequivocally. I say them. Why? Why do I say that these things don't exist? Because my worldview that provides me with absolute certainty negates the existence of these beings. It negates the existence of these entities. But because, the atheistic worldview, it doesn't possess any objective referent that can provide absolute certainty, you will constantly hear the atheist, whether they are negative or positive, saying that they are not saying that, they are absolutely certain that this is the case. They're just saying that they're just unconvinced. Now, the reason why I'm making a video about positive atheism is I think that positive atheism is the only form of atheism that matters. Because negative atheism is not informative. Saying that you lack belief in a God makes everything and everyone that lacks belief in a God an atheist. So you can make the proclamation, or you can make the statement, um, everyone is born an atheist. No, you should say everyone is born a negative atheist. And by extension, cats are atheists, dogs are atheists, tarantulas are atheists. Every animal is an atheist. You know why? Because they lack belief in God. That is how uninformative that definition is. In that, if you are pedantic and ridiculous, like myself sometimes, you could even say that a rock is an atheist because a rock lacks belief. Lacks belief. It doesn't have any belief. It doesn't have a belief. Dead people lack belief. So you see how that definition of atheism can be, spread across the spectrum, where anything can be defined as an atheist. But when you say positive atheism, which is the proposition God does not exist, a baby by definition can't be an atheist. because a baby, unless you have a genius, a baby can't make the proposition. A baby can't believe the proposition. A baby can't hold to the proposition God does not exist, and hence a baby is not an atheist. You see how easy that was to clear up? Now, the reason why closet positive atheists who pretend as though they are negative atheists don't want to come out of the closet, it's because they know they can't defend the proposition God does not exist. They know. It's a burden of proof that they know they can't meet. So what they do is they follow Anthony Flew. They follow him. Because Anthony Flew is the guy who came up with the word, or made a distinction between positive and negative atheism. Because in his day, there was only one form of atheism. There was only positive atheism. So in this moment, I'm going to use my robot to verify this for me, because as I said, as I like to say, the only time I use the robot is when I know I am speaking about something that is almost universally accepted by rational thinkers. Now, let's bring this up. Hey, Ara, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. What's up?
All right, so do you know of Anthony Flew and the distinction he made between positive and negative atheism?
Yeah, Anthony Flew made that distinction in his 1972 paper, The Presumption of Atheism. Negative atheism is just not being a theist, no belief in God without claiming to know there isn't one. Positive atheism is the stronger claim that there definitely is no God. He argued the debate should start from negative atheism, putting the burden of proof on the theist.
Quick question, Ara. Before 1972, did anyone in any published work define atheism as a lack of belief in God, or as simply being unconvinced?
Yeah, Joseph McCabe did in his 1948 A Rationalist Encyclopedia. He defined atheism as the absence of belief in God. Charles Bradlaugh in 1864 also described his atheism as not denying God, but simply having no idea or belief in the concept. So the idea was around well before Flew.
This is actually very good. I'm going to have to write this down. Joseph McCabe. Oh, wait, let me bring this guy up. Mr. Sums. Hey, Mr. Sums, how you doing?
Hi, I'm good, and yourself?
I'm doing okay. What would you like to say?
So, I disagree with your claim that positive atheism is false.
Okay, what is positive atheism?
First, I think when you say positive atheism, you're basically saying that the claim that there is no God is false.
Right. That's right.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that is what I'm saying. Do you think that the claim there is no God is true?
Of course, there cannot be any other way. Do you think that a God exists?
Yeah, I do.
Why?
Because the Bible says so.
Now that becomes a secular argument.
Yeah.
When I ask why does the God exist, you say that because the Bible exists. That's secular, Makai. So I think we can try and fix that.
We can actually try and fix that. I want to point something out to you. I want to point something out to you. When it comes on to ultimate standards or ultimates, any form of ultimates by definition will be circular. That is why in philosophy, they don't call that a reasoning violation. They call it a reasoning limitation. Even you, I mean, if I were to ask you, can you justify the existence of logic without using logic? You're going to have to use logic. If I ask you to justify your existence without first presupposing your existence, you're going to have to presuppose your existence. This is not a reasoning violation, it's a reasoning limitation. Every ultimate standard will be self-authenticating. I'm just pointing out my ultimate standard. The Bible says, therefore, God exists.
Okay, so what is it specifically about the Bible that results in you saying that the God exists?
The Bible is self-authenticating. The Bible is self-attesting in that it attests to its own truth, and there is nothing external to it that verifies it as being true. And all of God's elect, when they read the Bible, they are born again, made into a new creature, and hence believe in the Word of God. This is our doctrine in Presbyterianism, that only the elect of God will be saved and everybody else will go to hell, ultimately because they were designed to go there.
Right, so, but the Bible makes historical claims, theological claims, and even scientific claims that are contradictory to the natural world. For example, in the Genesis, the Bible says that the earth was created firstly before the sun. So it says that the sun was created later. Now we know through science that can never be true. It cannot be that a planet is created before the sun or before a star. What is your take on that?
My take on that is I would never treat a cat like a dog when a cat was never meant to be a dog. The same way I would never treat Genesis 1 and 2 as if it was a scientific presentation when it was never meant to be a scientific presentation. If you do any study into the ancient Near Eastern literature and do any study in what is called polemical theology, you will know and you will immediately learn that the author was writing a presentation about the origin of the universe in contravention to the existing literature and the existing ideology of the people of that time. It was never a science presentation that needs or has to be examined by the scientific method. And just to close off my response, science, the scientific methodology in and of itself, does not provide anyone to any degree with absolute certainty. So when you make the statement, we know that the Bible is scientifically inaccurate, you have to qualify that by saying, we know to this point, but we could be wrong, that the Bible is scientifically inaccurate. But that's not what you said. You talk as though you're absolutely certain about what you said. But if you do polemical theology and you look at the ancient Near Eastern context, you will see that there is no contradiction. Moses was just responding to the surrounding ideology and the surrounding literature of that time.
But even though it was the literature of that time, we can, because you see, scientific claims are objective. Regardless of the time, they always remain the same.
No, I would not say that scientific claims are objective. I would say that scientific claims are subjective and they are open for change and revision. And those subjective claims don't come from science, they come from scientists. Scientists who have done observation, and from the observation, they have drawn a hypothesis. And from that hypothesis, they have tested it to see if it's true and if it's valid. And then they draw a theory. But they always say the theory could be wrong. This is just what we think is the best explanation at this particular point, which assumes that the universe has always been the same, assumes that every conclusion that they have has always been the same. But no one was there when the universe was created. No one was there to examine the universe when it came into existence. So the claims about the Bible, as I said, they have to be qualified with the phrase, we could be wrong, we don't know with absolute certainty.
The Bible also says that life comes from God, right?
Yeah.
But we know today that through biogenesis, life can be created from non-living matter.
Okay, let's jump on that. The Miller-Urey experiment that you're making reference to did not prove that life can come from non-life. All they did was create or produce amino acids, and amino acids are not life. Amino acids are the building blocks of life, which means that the Miller-Urey experiment via abiogenesis, it is still a hypothesis that is yet to be proven to be true. But you just treated the Miller-Urey experiment as if it was a theory and not a hypothesis. So I'm going to point out in closing in this response by saying that you have a belief that life came from non-life because you don't have any empirical evidence to support it. Unless you disagree with me that the Miller-Urey experiment actually proved that life came from non-life, I think you should, change how you present that.
Oh, sure. It's just an hypothesis, but it has a lot of evidence behind it.
Okay, what's the evidence?
Sure.
What's the evidence that life came from non-life in the sense that we got biology from chemicals? Because that's the claim, that biology came out of chemistry.
Yes, because the amino acids, right, they came from a dying star, which then mixed up with the primordial gases that existed at that time.
Are amino acids life? Are amino acids life?
Sorry?
Are amino acids life?
No, but they produce life. They are the building blocks of life.
So, okay, perfect.
Right.
So did the Miller-Urey experiment prove that life came from non-life? And hence, it is no longer a hypothesis, it's a theory now.
Of course, as I was saying that the amino acids, which are non-life, they come from a dying star.
Okay, you're not tracking, buddy. You're not tracking. I'm going to ask you again, okay? Since you admitted that amino acids are not life, and you admitted that the Miller-Urey experiment is still a hypothesis, not a theory, do you agree that you have a belief about abiogenesis because it has not been proven to be true?
Not a belief per se. Maybe I'll hold your view that it is still just an hypothesis, a theory.
All right, perfect.
Right.
So a hypothesis, right? Once you make an observation, you have an hypothesis. A hypothesis does not become a theory until it is proven, right? Right. So you spoke.
One last question.
Wait, you said, before you ask me the question, I promise you I'll let you ask me the question. But you said earlier that we know that God could not have created life because we know that life came from non-life via abiogenesis. You were speaking out of ignorance. You did not know that the Miller-Urey experiment did not prove abiogenesis. Abiogenesis is a hypothesis, not a theory. It's not been proven. Over 70 years thus far, no one has ever been able to produce life from non-life in a lab, which means that both of us have a belief about the origin of life. I say that life was created by God. You say life came from non-life. None of those claims are supported by scientific evidence, not one. So both of us are in a belief system here. All right, now you can ask me my question.
Right. I think you are absolutely right about that.
Okay.
Now let us go on the Bible itself. Do you hold the view that your God is just? The God of the Bible is just, Yahweh?
Yes, God is just.
Jesus, as you say.
Yes, God is just.
But there is a verse that I would like to share with you, and I would like to hear your thoughts on it. It says that when a man marries a woman, and then when they lay in bed, the man later finds out that the woman is not pure. That man should take the sheets to the courts. Now, what do you think they are looking for in the courts?
They're looking for
blood, right?
Yeah, I was just about to say, I was going to use another word like a euphemism. They were looking for something red. Yeah. And if they don't find proof that she was a virgin, they're supposed to take her out to the gathering of Israel, and everyone should pick up stones off the ground and unalive her. Are you going to ask me if I think that's just?
And there are actual records that this did occur, and they were taking their authority from this very Bible verse. So how do you reconcile having an idea of your God being all good or just, and that occurrence?
Well, when we define justice, justice means to give someone what they deserve with reference to a law that has been violated. So that was their law at that time, specifically unique to the Israelite nation. Penalties for breaking the law are the definition of what justice is. You do something wrong and you get the penalty for it. So we have justice right there. With reference to God's goodness, how the Bible defines God's goodness is completely circular. God is good, and God has revealed his goodness to his creatures as is reflected in the moral law that everyone should follow. But if I were to, reject God's existence and just do a reductio, there is nothing that is objectively good, nothing that is objectively just, nothing that is objectively evil. All we have is our various opinions and preferences based in ourselves or based in our culture about what another culture should do or should not do. So if that's your position, that morality is subjective, all you're doing is sharing with me your opinion. But if you think that morality is objective.
I do not hold that view that morals are objective. They are subjective.
All right. So what God ordained.
Going back to your definition of justice.
So just to give you a straight answer, what God ordained that the Israelites do to people, to women who lost their virginity before they got married was completely just. And that law was a law that was for the Israelites. It was a civil law. That is why Christians don't do that. That is why in the New Testament, in 1 Corinthians chapter 5, when there was a man in the congregation having sex with his father's wife, the penalty for that was not unalivement. Oh, wait. Hold on. Hey, Rev, how you doing, man?
Not bad. How are you doing?
Hey, sorry about that. A call came in. Are you still there? You still there? Hello? Oh, he left. All right, a call came in, and I lost. Hey, Darth. I wonder if Darth is still there. Hey, Darth, I'm just taking your advice, man. I'm doing my practicing. And, this is how I get to memorize all the things that you taught me from the literature you gave me. This is how I keep my mind fresh and up to date and stuff. Yeah, I don't know where the guy went. He was just here, and then a call came in. I wonder if my phone dropped him. I wonder if my phone dropped him or he dropped on his own. But Darth, did you see what happened where he was, speaking as though the Bible is false. The Bible is false because we say God created life, God created everything. But we know that abiogenesis is true. No, you don't. You don't know that abiogenesis is true. You don't know that. You don't know that. And from what I've read, the Miller-Urey experiment, it is still a hypothesis. It's not a theory. Yeah, Darth, I'm here, man. I'm gonna bring you up. Yeah, I don't know where he went, Darth. I don't know where he went. He was here and then he left after a call came in. How did I do? How did I do on the abiogenesis? What do you call it? The abiogenesis bullet that atheists like to throw at us. How did I do? Looks like something's wrong with your phone, Darth. I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, it was glitching out.
Yeah. How did I do? How did I do on my response about abiogenesis?
Well, I heard most of it, and it was spot on. Yeah,
Thank you.
there's not a shred of evidence,
No, not
even remotely, for the possibility of abiogenesis. Abiogenesis as a research project is a joke.
And you notice how he said, hey, the Bible is false because we know that life came from non-life. God didn't create life. I'm like, no,
okay,
no, no, you don't.
That person is monumentally uneducated. He has no idea what he's talking about. Let him talk to James Tour. He'll be in for a rich embarrassment.
Yeah, James. So, I watched a few debates with James Tour. He literally destroys everybody who comes up about how they think that they can produce life or non-life. It's not.
Yeah, but you see, even if you are dealing with a skeptic or an evolutionist, where they can just say, well, yeah, we don't have an answer to abiogenesis yet. Okay, so they'll just shrug that off. But the whole idea that mutations aided by survival events could build the entire genome of the animal kingdom is insane. It is virtually statistically impossible. Even if you had 1 trillion squared Earth-like planets over 14 billion years old, that would do nothing for mutations to build even a couple of proteins. That's how complex the building blocks of life are. And by the way, amino acids are the building blocks of proteins.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Proteins are amino acids are like the individual links of a chain, and the proteins are a chain of amino acids that are sequenced like the letters of a word, and the arrangement of the letters and the folding of that protein, that chain of amino acids, determines what its function is.
Right.
And so Miller and Urey just only succeeded with an imagined atmosphere of getting some amino acids to clump together. That's it. Right? And so the consensus today, they don't even accept the alleged gaseous composition of the atmosphere that Miller and Urey proposed. Mm-hmm. So Miller and Urey, not only even before the change of mind of the consensus about what they believe would be the early gaseous composition, even before that, it was untenable. But now it's even more untenable. So this abiogenesis is a colossal joke, right? As is evolution. If you start studying the actual meticulous complexity down at a molecular and a cellular level, it is so monumentally mind-boggling that is not an understatement. The idea that chance over time, aided by survival events, could build this mind-boggling level of complexity is absurd. Okay? And the only reason why people don't think it's absurd is because they've drunk the Kool-Aid and believe that because the consensus believes evolution happened, well, therefore it did. Well, they're just like the Muslims, right? Muhammad is the prophet of God, and Allah is the one true God. Darwin was right. Life evolved. Yeah. Imam Darwin.
Yeah, and I was pointing out to the guy that was here that, hey, you have a belief that is not supported by empirical evidence. So if you're throwing stones at me because you think I don't have any empirical evidence, you're throwing stones while you're living in a glass house.
Yeah. Evolution is just simply a desperate attempt to evade the obvious that the world overwhelmingly, from the smallest to the grandest scale, appears to be the product of ultimate intentional design, with the impossibility of rationally denying it through an illusion of design. That's why Dr. Eugene Koonin in The Logic of Chance, is the book defending evolution. He said that evolution, and he uses the term self-replicating systems, is virtually impossible to occur absent a multiverse. But with a multiverse, it's guaranteed. So why would one of the world's greatest experts on evolution, a man who is a skeptic, he's probably an atheist, say that evolution, self-replicating systems, is virtually impossible to occur without a multiverse? That is a nuclear bomb of a quote.
Yeah.
Welcome, Not. What do you want to talk about?
Oh, let's talk about the background. I don't think there's by the way, I'm 22 for TikTok. I don't think there's any necessary condition of God's existence pertaining to a logical possible world.
Okay, so before we begin, just so you understand the rules, there will be no dodging or deflecting or verbal disruption when receiving my questions, okay? If you dodge, deflect, or disrupt, that'll be grounds to be ejected, okay?
Okay.
Because skeptics cheat. Now, are you an atheist?
No.
Okay, what are you?
A deist. An idealist.
Okay, so you're a deist. Okay. Now, I'm going to ask you a question.
Absolutely. Well, you can ask me too. Asking if you can ask a question is already asking.
Okay, so can God be known if he does not choose to reveal himself?
No.
Okay. Do you understand that deism conceptually and definitionally entails a God who does not reveal himself?
No, not necessarily.
No. How old are you?
22.
Okay, you have no idea what you're talking about. I'm 64. Okay, so deism is the idea. Listen carefully, you're going to learn something today. Deism is the concept that there is a God, but that God does not engage in revelation or providential interdiction. If you believe in a God who gives revelation or providentially interdicts, you are no longer holding to deism. Okay? Are we clear?
No, because that's conflationary to the view.
Okay, sir, I'm not going to put up with you much longer. I am giving you the standard definition of deism.
But okay. I'm an idealist. I've already elaborated.
Sir, it doesn't matter that you claim to be an idealist. Listen carefully. The standard definition of deism, okay, a deist is somebody who believes that there's a creator, but who does not engage in revelation or providential interdiction. If you believe in God, and your God has engaged in revelation or providential interdiction, then you are not a deist. Are we clear?
No, because that's
Goodbye.
Eddie Dawkins.
Bye. See, the mask comes off, folks. The mask came off at the end where he was trying to troll. So I deal with these people all the time. They are incredibly deceptive and lacking in character or class. It's painful talking with these young skulls full of mush. Oh, and look at that. He was already blocked on my account. What a surprise. What a shocker. No, there was no running away. I just gave you a standard definition of deism, and you want to lie through your teeth. You want to cheat and deny the standard definition of deism. Okay, so then I'm done talking with you. You see, they pathologically lie, they pathologically cheat, and this is no exaggeration. They pathologically cheat in almost all conversations that I observe or engage in. Welcome, Drew.
Good morning, guys.
What do you want to talk about, Drew?
Just wanted to tell, I'm an atheist, and I want to tell Adrian King, good morning. I kept to call you a meathead.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I wanted. Good morning, Adrian, and Darth Dawkins, you're the bigger meathead.
Yeah, sorry you grew up without a daddy. Okay,
My mother father have been
send my
married for 40
sympathies
years.
to your grandmother who raised you.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Good morning, Drew. Good morning. Oh my God. This is amazing.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
It's too bad TikTok doesn't have an IQ test.
Oh boy. Okay. Oh, Darth, I want you to elaborate for me on what is the theory of evolution and why it's false.
Okay, the theory of evolution is that random mutations occurred over long periods of time, aided by survival events, producing an ever-developing complexity in the tree of life. Okay? Random mutations aided by survival events, producing an ever-increasing complexity of all life forms.
Okay.
That's it in a nutshell.
Missing 3 other elements depends. What is this guy talking about? Oh, whatever.
Who knows?
Okay.
Now, you could have a more complex representation, by talking about the neo-Darwinian synthesis, which includes and integrates the idea of Mendelian genetics and population genetics into the basic theory of evolution, which they call the modern synthesis.
Right.
Oh, look at that. The user says, I'm struggling. Oh, I know, I'm sweating. I'm struggling.
Every time I post an interaction with you, there's this YouTuber who calls his page Darth Dawkins debunked the website. All caps.
Yeah, that's what is his name? His name is Rob Vitale, and he's significantly a stupid human being, and he is obsessed with me. He's done. Are you sitting down?
Yeah.
Are you seatbelted?
Not yet, but I'm gonna buckle up.
All right. He's done over 600 videos on me.
Wow.
Okay. All of them equally stupid.
600. I mean, he's literally looking for videos about you to make his reaction videos or whatever.
Yeah, he has never once decided to, on any type of platform, come up and challenge me and to debunk my position, because he knows he would get his rear end kicked up and down. And when I occasionally listen to his criticisms, he is so stupid in his presentation that I can't even get through the videotape because he's so stupid and quoting me out of context.
Yeah, he needs to do actual interactions.
We're talking about Darth Dawkins Debunked YouTube channel, and since he has decided to release what he considers or believes to be my personal information, then I will give out his personal information, which he has left open on the internet. His name is Rob Vitale. Okay. He's given out that information on the internet for people to find. But he is one of the more profoundly stupid critics that I have. But when you do 600 videos on somebody, it shows that there's a mental illness involved. He's obsessed.
Yeah. like Jack
Khan, why
Angstrike.
don't you come on up and explain
like Jack Angstrike.
What you're referring to about how I ran from Justin. Can you come on up, Wukong? Please come up and explain what you're referring to. Oh, look at that. He's an Osho.
Oh, this is amazing.
All right, let's try non-exasperated. We'll give him one more chance. He'll fail, as usual. So notice we have people making these accusations, but they won't come up and explain themselves, which shows that they're suffering from the 3F syndrome. Have you heard of the 3F syndrome?
Actually, no.
They are fakes, phonies, and frauds.
Fakes, phonies, and frauds.
Yeah, that's called the 3F syndrome. Fake, phony, and fraud. And there's a hidden joke there.
What's the hidden joke?
Phony is spelled with a PH.
Oh, yeah.
Fake, phony, and fraud.
That's pretty cool.
But I call it the 3F syndrome.
It's like their 3D strategy: dodge, deflect, and disrupt.
Dodge, deflect, disrupt. Notice your absolute cowardice is on full display, Wukong. You come up and you make an accusation that I ran from Justin, and yet you won't come up and explain yourself because that never happened. Okay, never ran from Justin at all. I did show up on a stream. He was instantly abusive and obscene with me, and I told him I would be glad to remain and discuss and debate our respective models of reality, but he had to stop with being obscene and abusive to me. And he continued, knowing full well that I would leave. Right? And then he posted a video saying I ran from him, which is a lie. Darth is quite possibly the oldest baby alive. Oh, what about baby Huey? I wish you guys would really, say something smart instead of making yourself look idiots to the general observing audience. But, the more I listen to atheists, I just shake my head. They're just so cringe at how intellectually inept and incompetent they are. It's not that I just disagree with them. They're intellectually inept on the topic.
Yep.
When they constantly going, I'm an atheist, I lack belief in God. Right then and there, you know that they are stupid on the issue. Atheism is the direct or indirect denial of God, not a psychological state absent a positive belief in God. That is an attempt on the part of atheists to redefine atheism because they know they can't defend their real position is that God does not exist. So they're changing the definition of atheism from a proposition of something that in the external world to just simply a psychological testimony or personal testimony of their mental state that they lack belief. It's cringe.
Let me see.
Yeah, the Oxford English Dictionary, which is behind a paywall, which is the most prestigious dictionary in all of the English-speaking world, says atheism is the disbelief and, not or, and the denial of the existence of God. This is reflected in the majority of other English translations. Okay. You might have one translation like dictionary.com, but that's not a dictionary outlet that actually publishes in print. It's just online. So defining atheism as a lack of belief is colossally stupid.
Right. It is.
If you want to read on that, read Malik's paper, M-A-L-I-K, Malik. It's on the definition of atheism and the burden of proof. Brilliant paper on atheism, on the definition of atheism.
No, I think I actually read that. He man, I forgot the actual argument he was making. I think that he was saying something along the lines of the definition being made up, something like that.
Well, the atheists continue to embarrass themselves by attempting to change the standard definition of atheism from the denial of God's existence, and they're attempting to change the definition because they can't defend the non-existence of God. So they have to go, atheism is a lack of belief. And it's cringe when I hear these people. They're just so stupid. If you were to ask 1 million 12-year-olds, okay, what is a single word that refers to those who deny the existence of God? You would get a near universal answer, atheist.
Right.
If you ask AI, what is a single word in the English language that is used to designate those who deny the existence of God? It's going to come back atheist. Defining atheism as an absence of belief is at best ambiguous and is an equivocation. And at worst, it's stupid and a deliberate attempt to be deceptive about the true nature of their position.
Oh, I'm trying to mute this guy, but I can't. It's not coming up. This guy is talking about your family.
Oh, that's Forrest Mendez. He's a mentally ill stalking troll. Imagine wasting your time posting trolling comments day after day after day. It's embarrassing that so many of these skeptics are afraid to talk with me. And we only get the bottom of the barrel character people coming up. But most of the more intelligent skeptics, if there are any, they're afraid to talk.
It's a side door.
Well, Jason Spade, he's repeating stuff that are rumors found on Reddit that are absolutely false about my personal life. Okay. My profile picture is of Richard Dawkins because I used to have a profile named Duncan Dawkins with the floating head of Richard Dawkins and the floating mug of Dunkin' Donuts coffee. Welcome, Jason. What do you want to talk about?
How you doing? I'm actually drinking coffee right now. It's a butterscotch latte, so it's pretty good. let me actually take it. So
I can't hear you, Jason. You got to fix your mic.
There we go. Is that a little better?
Yeah, go ahead.
I took the case off my phone. I was saying I'm actually drinking a coffee.
I heard that.
So
was there anything else you want to talk about?
That's pretty good. Yeah, definitely. I consider myself a skeptic. I lecture on logic and syllogistic structure.
Oh, good. So you, at a college?
I'm at quite a few different universities, schools, academic groups.
Oh, good, because I'm talking to an educated man, so you'll probably demonstrate some character, some class, and intelligence. So we're going to have a great conversation. So skepticism entails that you are objecting to or rejecting a proposition due to prior background information, correct?
Not always. The skepticism can lead you to accepting a proposition.
No. Skepticism is generally you're skeptical toward a proposition, correct?
It is generally, yes, but the
now when you're skeptical that something is true, when you're skeptical that something is true, okay? So let me ask you this question. Would you be skeptical if I told you that I have a $5 bill in my wallet?
Depending on the circumstances, but for the most part, no.
Okay. Would you be skeptical if I told you? Would you be skeptical if I told you that I have a Tasmanian devil from Tasmania in my backyard?
Again, it's ironic you asked me that because I work with hyenas, pumas, and Tasmanian devils. You can see that on my TikTok. So,
okay, sir, could you tell me? Hold on a second. You actually work with a Tasmanian devil?
Yeah. We have a that works.
Yes, sir. Stop. I'm a moderator in here. Stop. Okay. Now, I'm about to eject you for lying. Tasmanian devils are considered to be, I want you to listen carefully. Tasmanian devil. Okay, if you interrupt me one more time, I'm going to eject you for demonstrating. Okay, I'm about to kick you. I'm going to give you. I'm being okay. Goodbye. You're done. Bye. You have no class. Okay, so he's a liar. So, Adrian King, Tasmanian devils are considered to be extinct.
Right.
Did you know that?
I don't even know what a Tasmanian devil is, but
yeah.
If it is the case, then he's lying.
There's an island near Australia called Tasmania, where about 100 years or so ago, this dog-like creature, which was characterized as the Tasmanian devil, it looked like a dog, okay, and it apparently has gone extinct. We cannot find any living exemplars on the island, and it's a rather large island, if you will, in Tasmania. We can't find any. So they are considered to be extinct. Now, it might turn out to be the case that there are some remnant of Tasmanian devils reproducing in Tasmania that have gone yet undetected. If somebody did have a Tasmanian devil, it would be shocking news throughout the world. That's something that was considered. It would be as shocking as somebody having a living, breathing dodo bird. Right?
Yeah, those things are
considered to be extinct.
Yeah.
Okay, so this guy says he works with Tasmanian devils. Okay. Well, either he is a fool and he's referring to something else by the name Tasmanian devil, or he's lying. Because if he did have a working Tasmanian devil, unless of course he's talking about some taxidermic representation of a Tasmanian devil, but Tasmanian devils do not exist, as far as we know. Yeah, you're lying, Mr. Long. Tasmanian devils are considered to be extinct. I'll be right back.
All right. Okay, we got some here in Michigan. Look, guys, I don't know anything about Tasmanian devils. I don't even know what a Tasmanian devil is. And it's irrelevant to me. Whether or not a Tasmanian devil exists has nothing to do with my life or anybody else's. Well, my life in particular. I don't care about Tasmanian devils.
Okay, I just checked it out on AI, and they said that they're considered endangered and not extinct. I don't believe that this is accurate. Okay, all of the information that I've had in the past is that they are extinct. So I'm going to further look this up.
Yeah.
So I do not believe there are any living exemplars.
Wow, there's a lot of people in here. Looks like Darth, you bring the crowd, man. You bring the crowd. A lot of people are here. 38 people. Guys, I'm not American, so that's a very big number. I'm from the Caribbean. So it's a lot of people compared to what I see in church a lot here in Jamaica. And Darth Dawkins is not my master. You should not say things like that, man. I don't know why you people just say anything. Like, wow. Just make statements that are not grounded in reality. Oh, okay. Like now you're correct there. He is my teacher. He is my teacher. Because a lot of what I know about atheism and how to defend the faith came from him. So yeah, he's my teacher. But if you meant he's my master, now that's terrible.
All right, so I have a correction to make. Okay, so I made a mistake. What I was thinking of was the Tasmanian tiger, which is a dog-like creature.
Oh.
So the Tasmanian devil is a much smaller creature, a marsupial, that is endangered but not extinct. So I was thinking of the Tasmanian tiger, and I misspoke, and I was wrong when I called it the Tasmanian devil.
See, guys, Darth is an honest guy. He's a Christian.
I was mistaking the nomenclature. Okay, in my mind's eye, I was looking at a picture in my head of the Tasmanian tiger, but I had mistaken it labeled as the Tasmanian devil, which is a much smaller creature that is a marsupial, where the Tasmanian tiger is dog-like. So that guy was not incorrect that there are living exemplars of the Tasmanian devil. So I made a mistake. I was actually thinking and referring to the Tasmanian tiger.
Yeah, and I don't know what the hell those things are at all.
The Tasmanian tiger is much bigger. It's a dog-like creature. The Tasmanian devil is much smaller. So as soon as I conferred with AI and on the internet, I corrected my faux pas of referring to the Tasmanian tiger as the Tasmanian devil. Okay.
AJ is requesting up. You want me to bring him up? He usually has a lot of questions.
Sure. No, I'm not an atheist. I am an atheist's worst nightmare. Hold on a second. Newsflash. Brad Haskin. Adrian, trust me, Darth is not good for you. Okay, well, yeah. But at least Adrian has a lifetime supply of theological and research books for the rest of his life after I'm dead and room temperature.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, there you go. See the big smile on Adrian's face?
Yeah, I do.
Because he knows the Christmas present I gave him.
That's a lot of books to read.
But do I even get a Christmas card once a year from Adrian? No.
I mean, when I get to the States, then yeah, but it's terrible.
Okay, you Jamaicans are so cheap.
Man, hey, it's a different economy.
AJ, go ahead, AJ.
So I wanted to know, when the Bible says Father,
in what context does it mean Father? Because based upon my little reading of Scripture, I assume that when it uses Father, it doesn't mean so limited to how we use it in our modern era, right? Like, I do know that, like, language has evolved, right? So where the Bible may say Father, we may use a different word in our current day and age, right? So, like, the Bible says, like, you are of your father the devil, right? But we might instead say, well, the devil is like your father figure, or the devil is your master.
A father, yeah. Right? A father typically refers to the paternal side of your parentage. Okay. Right. Now, it usually and typically refers to your biological parent, who is a male, but it can have even a more sociological designation, meaning somebody who has oversight, guidance, and leadership over you, typically in terms of chain of command, leadership, and influence. Okay, so the word father can be used literally in a biological sense, but it can also be used metaphorically in a sociological sense.
And when it pertains to the Father and the Son of the Trinity, is that what you said, that's biological or metaphorical?
No, it's a metaphorical terminology where the first person of the Trinity is designated by the title of Father, and the Father brings about, because he takes the leadership role of the triune members in creation, which is called the economical Trinity, and Jesus, adopting a human nature, is now, in terms of his humanness, the Son of the Father.
He represents him.
Okay, but in Jesus' true essence, his eternal essential properties, he is co-equal in every respect with the Father and the Spirit.
Okay. All right, yeah, I just wanted to make sure.
Sometimes Jesus refers to himself in terms of his eternal essential properties, and other times he's referring to his status and his function as a human within the scope of God's plan of redemptive history.
Okay. Kind of like how the Bible also says the angels are sons of God, right? Because they represent his will, right?
Yeah, the Father is typically a sociological position or a role.
Right. I think that's kind of where a lot of people get confused. They'll start thinking of it like it literally means like a father and a son as we mean it, but they forget that like that father has a broader.
There are people who have been adopted, and the adopted father was loving and good, and the adopted child or son, if you will, said, no, this person is my father. But they don't mean in a strict biological sense. But other than a biological descendancy, they mean the person is every much a father to them as a father who actually, gave birth or was the father biologically of the child.
Right. Yeah, I just wanted to bring that up. That's all.
So the more I stream on TikTok, the only times atheists want to verbally interact is when they can get away with bad behavior. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, if they can't get away with bad behavior, then they don't want to interact because they have a massive disadvantage in the dispute. It's kind of like a child going into an MMA ring with Conan, or excuse me, what's his name? Conor McGregor.
Yeah, the MMA fighter. Wait. The MMA fighter?
Oh, look at that. I sweet talk creators to platform him. Yeah, I sweet talked you, Adrian.
Oh, boy. These people just talk out of their ass, man. I don't know where they're getting these things from. It's crazy.
Do you know how many theist streamers don't want me on their platform? Okay, so much for my sweet talking.
All right, someone's requesting the one Bojack or Lumbojack.
Am I Darth Dawkins from Discord? Yes, I am. Welcome, Bojack.
Hello, how are you?
Good. What do you want to talk about?
So, positive atheism is false. What am I arguing against?
I don't know. What's your position?
Well, my position is that I joined TikTok Live and there is a prompt saying positive.
Yeah, you got to speak slower because of your accent.
Okay, so I have joined a TikTok Live now, and I see a prompt in the background saying positive atheism is false.
Oh, positive atheism is the claim that there is no God.
What it means and what I should argue against.
Let me tell you, positive atheism is the claim that there is no God. That's what it is.
Okay.
It's a positive claim that there is no God.
Okay. So you should have said this. Why didn't you save us like 2 minutes of our lives?
Okay, is there something you want to talk about?
Now you know what to argue against, bro. Positive atheism is false.
Yeah.
What do you think? Okay, he left.
He left. I didn't kick him.
So I'm only going with their guy Anthony Flew. He made the distinction. I'm just following it for a sec.
Yeah. Welcome, Tayton. What do you want to talk about?
Hey, what's going on, man? I rarely listen, to be honest with you, but I'm a little more fluent in theology. From my take on the total perspective of your subjective opinion, I would say that it has a fallacy based on the conclusion that atheism is saying there is no God. I believe there's a lot of people and followers of atheism who believe there's no evidence. That's not the same as saying there's no God, because that should be
You're incorrect. You're incorrect.
By evidence?
You're incorrect. When they say there's no evidence, that's just their cover story for their indirect denial of God. Can God be denied indirectly?
That's your interpretation.
Sure, that was a question. Okay, can God be denied indirectly?
Which God?
Okay, sir, can the concept that there is a supreme being, an eternal creator, be denied indirectly?
No.
Okay, sir, listen to me. If I say the sky is not blue, that is a direct formal denial of the blueness of sky. On the other hand, if I say the sky is red, is that an indirect denial that the sky is blue?
I mean, personally, I believe the sky was
sir, focus. Look, I'm going to have to remove you.
The sky was a bad analogy, right?
Sir, I'm about to remove you. If you don't shut up, I'm going to remove you. Okay, so I asked you a very simple question. If I assert the sky is red, is that an indirect denial that the sky is blue?
If there's no evidence, yes.
No, sir. It's a very simple question. It's not complicated.
No,
I don't want to hear.
To back it.
Okay, so propositions can be denied indirectly, correct?
If there's no evidence to back the God claim.
Sir, listen to me. I happen to be extremely informally educated on this topic.
So where's the evidence to back the God claim?
Have a nice day. Okay. Yeah, when you don't exercise any measure or modicum of self-control and you're exuding stupidity, then I don't want to talk with you. Right? So when they say there's no evidence for God, first of all, that's not a sustainable claim. Number two, that's the cover story to obscure and conceal the true nature of their position, which is the indirect denial of God. Because the atheist cannot justify that there is no God, they're still committed to the denial of God, but they can't defend it. So they have to come up with a cover story, and that is to assert there is no evidence for God. But even the cover story is not defensible or sustainable. So atheists continue to make themselves look like fools.
And notice how he is responding to negative atheism and not positive atheism.
Yeah, because so both the negative atheist is in the negative atheist. See, I don't even like these qualifications, but we'll use them because there are some people who use it, right? So both positive and negative atheism deny God. Positive atheism does so formally. The negative atheist, to use the philosophical compound nomenclature, the negative atheist is denying God indirectly without formally denying God. But nonetheless, they're both denying God. So it's a ridiculous distinction. Okay. No, I don't want to put up with people who, number one, who are in fact stupid on these issues, and number two, they have a lack of class and character. All right? That's what tips the scales of getting them injected. I can work with people that are stupid. Okay? But when you combine that with a lack of character and class, then you get ejected. And the overwhelming majority of skeptics and atheists that I've dealt with over the years lack class and character. And they don't have a level of sophisticated understanding on these issues. That's why they go, there's no evidence for God. Well, first of all, that's not a defensible claim, right? And number two, it doesn't follow from that God doesn't exist.
Yeah, it's a non sequitur and it's an appeal to ignorance fallacy. But they don't think about that. They don't think logically. A lot of them don't think logically, so they make statements like that without realizing it.
No, because of their confirmation bias that entails the indirect denial of God and the antipathy of and about God, their minds gravitate toward fallacious and specious talking points that they collect like somebody's collecting baseball cards. And each one of these talking points do not hold up to scrutiny. They just don't. Welcome, freedom. What do you want to talk about?
What is the debate actually about? Could someone explain, please?
Our position as Bible-believing Christians, both Adrian and myself, is that God is real. God has revealed himself in creation, and he's done so ultimately in Jesus Christ, both of which are not rationally sustainable in terms of their denial. Therefore, any expression of atheism, both positive or negative atheism, is false.
So you guys are Christians?
I just said that, yes.
Oh. Well, why do you guys believe in religion?
I believe in the truth of Christianity because God has positively revealed himself in creation and through the person of Jesus Christ, codified in the Bible with the impossibility of its denial. And God has revealed and demonstrated that the Christian worldview is the only possible rational worldview. And any attempt to deny that will end in absurdity.
Where's the proof of that? The Bible?
Okay, everywhere we look in the world, from the smallest possible scale to the grandest scale, the world overwhelmingly and uncontroversially appears to be the product of ultimate intentional design, with the impossibility of it being rationally denied by claiming it's an illusion of design. Okay, now when I said that the world appears to be the product of ultimate design, that is uncontroversial, right? And it's rationally undeniable. That's because atheist academics by the dozens have admitted that yes, the world appears to be designed, but they attempt to qualify that by saying it's an illusion of design. But claiming that it is an illusion of design is impossible to defend. So God has made his existence clear through the overwhelming and uncontroversial appearance of design with the impossibility of its rational denial.
I actually don't believe in atheism. I'm nothing. I just asked why you believe in religion, not in God. I actually believe in God. I don't even like to imply it as God. I believe in a being.
When we look at the self-identity claims of Jesus Christ, and including his appointed ambassadors, and we look at that material propositionally, it self-referentially shows that it is the only possible rational worldview.
How does it show that?
In that the God of Jesus Christ is the sum of all perfections, and without that, you cannot talk intelligibly about your world.
But Christianity is implying to Jesus. Jesus is their God. So could you prove religion to me?
I just did. Don't confuse proof. Listen carefully. Do not confuse proof with persuasion. A proof can be given for something, but somebody who has a confirmation bias will not be persuaded. So don't confuse proof with persuasion. I just showed you that Jesus' self-identity claims, when understood propositionally, showcases that the God of the Bible, who reveals and communicates that he is the sum of all perfections, is the only possible rational worldview. If you do not accept that, if you do not accept the revelation of God, Jesus' self-identity testimony, then you will be staking out another worldview, which you are immediately going to have to defend. And if you don't, then your rejection or denial is vacuous. It's absurd. And that will support my contention that the Christian worldview, grounded in the God of the Bible, who reveals himself in creation through Jesus Christ, being the sum of all perfections, is the only possible rational worldview. If you do not accept the revelation of God, the testimony of Jesus Christ, you instantly are staking out an alternative model of reality, which you will have to explain.
You are trying to prove your religion by your religion?
Yeah. That is correct.
That is correct?
That's correct.
So you need to prove your religion. You cannot prove your religion.
You're not understanding.
Of course, I'm not understanding because
I'm trying to educate you. I'm educated on this.
What are you trying to educate me?
All right, if you continue to bicker with me and crosstalk me, I'm going to eject you instantly. Okay, so the fact that goodbye. Okay,
freedom is not aware that when it comes on to ultimate standards, the ultimate will always be self-authenticating and self-referencing, because
no, he doesn't. Yeah. He freedom is number one. He doesn't have a certain level of education. Okay, and I don't mean formally. Number two, he doesn't have developed critical thinking skills. Without trying to be mean, freedom had the thinking skills of a 50-year-old. Right? I'm not. He's just offering atheist cliches. He was not intelligently responding to what I was saying. He was just repeating, the usual talking points.
And you know what's amazing about them too? They accuse us of being circular, and they treat it as though it's a defeater for our position when they're also circular. Ultimate levels, at the ultimate level, you'll always have circularity. The question should be, which circle accurately reflects and explains and grounds all of reality?
Circularity is only a problem for things that are within the sphere of contingency. Okay, that which is not characterized or constitutive of contingency would be authenticated by itself in terms of its own absolute properties and its communication of itself. Welcome, 4D. What do you want to talk about?
What makes atheism false?
You got to get closer to your mic.
Positive atheism. Positive atheism is the claim that there is no God.
Just atheism.
Okay, atheism is false.
Okay, so you deny the meaning of words.
Revelation of God in creation and through Jesus Christ, and in addition to that, atheism is a performative contradiction.
You have to prove the first proposition that the revelation is even real.
Yeah. So the world around us, okay, from the smallest scale to the grandest scale, appears to be the product of ultimate intentional design with the rational impossibility of its denial. Now, you would be revealing that you're ignorant or deceptive if you deny the obvious that the world appears to be designed, because atheist academics by the dozens in their own writings admit, yes, the world appears to be the product of design, but it is an illusion of design. But that qualification is not sustainable. So if you deny that the world has an overwhelming appearance of design, then you are demonstrating that you are ignorant. If you don't accept the conclusion that the world appears to be designed because it is, then you're going to have to defend that the world is an illusion of design. So do you reject that the world has the appearance of design because it is?
I reject the dichotomy.
Good. Okay. Well,
I reject the dichotomy.
You're not going to win this. This is an ironclad argument. So can you explain to me, and if you dodge any question that I put to you, I'm going to eject you. Do you understand?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Okay. Now, why do literally many dozens of atheist academics with PhDs in various disciplines, why have they gone on record, and you can confirm this in any AI, why have they written in the corpus of their own published books and scholarly papers that the world appears to be designed, but it is an illusion of design? Why do they write that?
Well, I'm assuming it's taken out of context. They probably mean it seems to be designed.
No, you don't have a justification. You don't have a.
I can prove it, man. I can prove it. I have the quotes right here. Darth, I have the quotes right here.
Now you're showcasing to me that you don't have critical thinking, listening skills, and critical thinking skills. Now, it is a fact that many dozens of atheist academics within the corpus of their published works, that they admit that, yes, the world has an appearance of design. Do you dispute that fact?
Here, I'll look it up.
And I have the quotes right here, by the way, if you want to confirm anything.
So what's the percentage of atheist scholars who say that it appears to be designed?
Okay, would you like me to go down a short list of very famous atheists who assert this in the corpus of their own writings and lectures?
Sure.
Okay, because this is uncontroversial. Okay, let's take Leonard Susskind, a world-renowned theoretical physicist. He's in a class of Stephen Hawking. Okay, he said during a lecture, which you can find on YouTube, when asked, does the universe display intelligent design? And he acknowledged, yes, the world has an appearance of design, but then he went on to qualify that to communicate that it's an illusion of design by underlining that.
And I have a quote from this guy, Leonard Susskind, from The Cosmic Landscape. He says, the laws of physics have been incredibly well-tuned to produce the universe we live in.
Okay, so then we go to Richard Dawkins, famed atheist and evolutionist. He says, biology is the study of extremely complicated things that have the appearance of design. I could quote Ernst Mayr in the corpus of his writings. He's the Charles Darwin of the 20th century. Okay, the late Ernst Mayr, in multiple instances, he admits that, yes, the world has an appearance of design. Lawrence Krauss, a theoretical physicist and staunch and rabid atheist, say, yeah, there's an appearance of design, but it's an illusion of design. I could go on and on and on and on. The idea that there's an appearance of design among atheist academics it's uncontroversial. Now, what they infer from the appearance of design would be a different thing. They are inferring that the appearance of design is the product or is an illusion of design brought about by natural occurrences or mechanisms. So that the world appears to be designed is literally uncontroversial.
What does that tell me?
That the world appears to be designed. Now, you will either accept the overwhelming positive appearance of something because it is, or you have to come up with a negator. If you have the overwhelming positive case for something, in the absence of or the impossibility of negators, then the positive representation establishes what it is emblematic of. So if you do not accept that the world overwhelmingly appears to be designed because it is, right, then you are going to have to defend that the world is an illusion of design brought about by naturalistic mechanisms.
I would say that it's an illusion of design. It appears to be designed.
Good. So now we've gotten you to recant your first objection.
What was my objection? Can you repeat it for me?
You objected that there was an appearance of design. Thank you for recanting your first position.
Well, I said that there's an appearance of design.
No, you didn't. No, don't. Are you recovering from the flu? Because you initially rejected the appearance of design.
Yeah. If I say it's an illusion, I say
no, sir, folks. Are you having listening problems? You rejected at the outset my declaration that the world was had an appearance of design. You rejected that. You've now accepted that there's an appearance of design. Okay? Are we clear as to what happened?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Right. So you have now recanted of your first rejection.
What does that tell me?
Okay, do you understand? Hey, look, if you continue to respond to me like a 15-year-old, I'm going to remove you. Now, I recanted a few minutes ago about where I said the Tasmanian devil was extinct. I was mistaken. I had to recant that it was the Tasmanian tiger that was extinct.
What happened?
Darth, you there? You're muted, man.
Who's tweaking?
Hey, Darth, you're muted. Okay. Hey, for everybody in the chat, positive atheism is the positive claim that there is no God. That's what's false. I'll be right back.
Okay, and we seem to be back. Now, Bubbles, I don't think saying that the world appears to be designed holds any truth value in it. You can say anything looks designed, doesn't mean it has to be designed. It's just arbitrary. I was really hoping to get into the presuppositionalist stuff because I think it's foundationless. And I don't see the problem with not having a foundation for logic. Honestly, I think the whole presuppositionalist position simply it's a false dichotomy because he's trying to put me into either two options, but I can choose another option. I don't have to choose the options that he gave me. That's why it's a false dichotomy. I don't think not having a foundation for logic is necessarily a defeater for a worldview. I mean, in any case, you can say that logic exists at least conceptually within a reality. If you try to deny that, then you're denying an experience as an agent. Why is my voice shaky? What is this?
All right, I'm back. Sorry, I had a phone call. Okay, so There's nothing wrong in recanting, right? So God is known because he reveals himself in that the world unmistakably, overwhelmingly, and uncontroversially appears to be designed with the impossibility of the contrary. If you do not accept what I just said, then it is incumbent upon you to defend that the world is an illusion of design. Do you understand what I just said?
Mm-hmm. I would say it could appear to be design, but okay. By what standard and I think that's arbitrary.
You definitely have a lack of listening skills and definitely have a lack of critical thinking skills. So I'll repeat what I just said to you. Okay. The world overwhelmingly appears to be the product of ultimate intentional design with the impossibility. Right? It appears to be designed because it is, with the impossibility of defending that it's an illusion of design. Now, either you accept what I just said or you do not accept it. All I want to hear is you answer that question. Do you accept what I just said or not accept it?
I accept that it appears to be designed, not that it is designed.
Okay, you definitely have hearing, critical thinking skills. Are you recovering from the flu? Okay, you did not answer the question. Okay, how many times do I have to repeat? I'm done with you. You're done. Bye. Okay, this is how stupid people are. Okay, you repeat the same question over and over again, and they answer a different question that you didn't ask. Welcome, Anglican Bro. What do you want to talk about?
Hey, Darth, are you only accepting atheists right now?
That's who we want to talk to. If you want to say something briefly, go ahead.
I'm afraid it wouldn't be probably too brief. I just have a little bit of question about the presuppositionalist dialectic, which is
okay.
It seems a little bit like what you were alluding to would be something that's analogous a little bit to phenomenal conservatism. Are you familiar with that?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. And so, if anybody doesn't know in the chat, it's just if it seems that P is P, then absence of defeaters S is justified in holding the position at P. So the world appears designed, and then absent of defeaters that there has been shown that there is no designer. Somebody's justified justified belief. But would you say that necessarily entails the conclusion that there therefore is a designer based on the appearance? Or is it?
Yeah, due to the impossibility of the contrary, not merely the absence of a defeater. So phenomenal conservatism would be, I'm answering you. Do you want an answer? So phenomenal conservatism would be strikingly similar, but the dissimilarity comes in with the transcendental argument argues that God is the necessary precondition. We know this through God's revelation, the appearance of design, and that he would be the absolute because of his essential characteristics with the impossibility of the contrary. The phenomenal conservatism does not bring in the impossibility of the contrary. It's bringing in the absence of a defeater. That just say, well, so far, my position, the transcendental argument, is the impossibility of its negation, not just the ignorance or being unaware of a potential negation.
I see. So, in other words, it's going to be an analytic contradiction. So, there's not necessarily it's a property of belief; it's a property of the fact that it's just
no. It's not just merely or simply analytic. Okay, it is both epistemologically and ontologically impossible to ground a negation. That's why Van Til said Christianity, meaning the positive representation of it, is true because of its positive representation and the impossibility of the contrary. But he simplifies it to Christianity is true due to the impossibility of the contrary.
So, if that's the case, then why do you preempt your discussion with the atheists? Why do you say that it would appear to be the fact that there's a designer and that absent defeaters the atheist?
Because that's what Romans 1 says.
Okay. Do you think that somebody, and this is just kind of the last question that I'll leave just so you can address atheists. Do you think that somebody can have a justified belief in something which is a contradiction?
No.
Okay. So the example that I would give would be like Lois Lane, which is it's kind of a fictional hypothetical, which is that Lois Lane believes that Clark Kent is weaker than Superman, but obviously Superman and Lois Lane, those are two kind of identities that are the same as referring to the same person. But if we assume a situation under which Lois Lane has never seen a situation in which Superman and Clark Kent have been like in the same room, that they're the same person, even though it's a contradiction that we know based on Dorito and kind of Dostastic logic, we would not say that she's unjustified to hold a contradictory belief. So what do you think? What do you think?
Okay, so you're guilty of hasty generalization there. So her belief is that she thinks that Superman and Clark Kent are discrete and distinct personas.
Right.
Okay. So what you're dealing with that is in actuality. So you're dealing with two different frames of reference. So in terms of her dogmastic position, it's not a contradiction insofar as her conceptual framework. But ontologically, within that hypothetical framework, being that Superman and Clark Kent are not distinct personas, it would entail a contradiction.
Right. But you said that somebody cannot be justified in having a contradictory belief, so it would be the case that given
so in Lois Lane's mind,
right,
she is conceiving them as distinct personas. That Superman is superhuman and Clark Kent is merely human. And so from her conceptual frame of reference, that wouldn't be a contradiction. Ontologically, it would be a contradiction.
Okay. And what's the contradiction in somebody merely suspending, having a doxastic attitude under which they're suspending a belief in God?
In what?
If you have kind of like a lack theist, if they just kind of say, I just suspend because I'm
because they're indirectly denying God.
But isn't Lois Lane indirectly denying the fact that Clark Kent is Superman?
Is she indirectly? Are you talking conceptually or ontologically? The proposition that she is invoking is that they're distinct. Okay, it's a contradiction from an ontological standpoint, but from her perspective, conceptually speaking, she's thinking that they're different persons.
Right, and this is why that I'm saying that somebody can have
her concept, her conceptual understanding of it is not a contradiction. But if we take her concept and we compare it to the ontological state, then it would be a contradiction.
Well, right. That's why that I say that an atheist is in a situation of ontological contradiction by denying the existence of God, but they're not in an epistemic contradiction, which they can have.
They are, because they're committing a performative contradiction. Do you know what a performative contradiction is?
Yes, I think you're doing a modal collapse here, though, Darth.
No, it's sir. What's a performative contradiction?
What?
What is a performative contradiction?
It's something that's just discursively contradictory that can't be denied.
Okay, no, that's an incorrect rendering. You don't even know what that is. A performative contradiction is a proposition or statement is in some way self-referential that undermines itself, or the background information that would be required to sustain the proposition undermines or contradicts or renders incapable the actuality of the proposition.
Okay.
So the bottom line, I don't know why you're white knighting for the atheists. Their position is incoherent.
Well, I'm just not a presuppositionalist. I run kind of psychosocial.
Well, then you're not holding to the biblical worldview. Do you accept that in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth?
Yes.
Okay. Do you accept Hebrews 1 where it says Jesus, as the second person of the Trinity, upholds all things by the power of His will?
Yes.
Okay. Well, then you're a presuppositionalist. You're just not being a consistent presuppositionalist. You are accepting that God is the necessary precondition of all things, but you are not being consistent and standing firm on that.
Well, okay, I'm going to push back a little, Darth. This is why that I think you're doing a modal collapse, because I think in order for vision to be operative in the world, that somebody has to be able to ground that in photoreceptors.
Do you accept that God is the transcendental? Okay, have a nice day. Have a nice day. Wow. You're just giving me empty rhetoric verbiage there. Okay. So the fact of the matter is, you're abandoning your belief that God is the transcendental necessity. You're affirming it, but then you abandon it. right? Welcome, Landon.
Hi. We talked about 2 weeks ago. You crashed out on me and kicked me. But I got a couple yes or no questions.
Landon, stop, or I'm going to instantly block your account. How old are you, Landon?
19. I told you this the last time.
Okay, good. I'm 64. Stop with the immature teenage antics where you lie that I crash out on people. I don't crash out on people. So lie again, and I'm instantly blocking your account. Okay? I have gone up. Hey, Landon, I was invited to speak and interact with 9 atheists with PhDs, and I held my own with each one of them. Are you aware of that?
No, because I wasn't told that. But
okay, I'm telling you right now,
talk, bro. This is what we went over the last time.
Goodbye, bro. Now you're blocked.
Okay, 63 fucking fat Jew sitting at his house.
Yeah,
sorry, you're fucking stupid. You were dumb. You were dumb.
Bye. So the mask comes off when they get confronted with their gross immaturity. Okay? They think they're talking with one of their peers. Okay. Once you degenerate into no class, no character, then you get kicked. I just don't suffer fools. Okay, I'm more than welcome people disagreeing, but when people are fools, I just can't put up with that.
Hey guys, keep the chat clean. Keep the chat clean. He's Ask a Christian is a brother in Christ, Darth. I think you probably know him.
Oh boy, I don't know. Sometimes he's real trouble.
Really?
Yeah. He's a sneaky little bugger. Yeah.
Hey, Ask a Christian, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing well. I was just trying to keep the chat clean. There's a lot of crazy people lying and slandering, so just keeping an eye on that.
Yeah, they're coming in so fast, man. It's hard to keep up. They're coming in so fast.
Look, I will tell you, look, as God is my witness, okay, as a Christian, as God is my witness, I have never been guilty of any type of domestic violence, socially, morally, legally, never been arrested. These people just like to smear and slander and repeat stuff off of Reddit. So I have to comment from time to time lest people, believe these slanderous dirtbags.
Yeah. I think it's DDS, Darth Dawkins Derangement Syndrome.
and unfortunately, a lot of people have stage 5 Darth Dawkins Derangement Syndrome. Welcome, Freedom. Welcome, Freedom. Are you there? Your mic is muted.
I am here.
What would you like to talk about, Freedom?
I would like to talk about why you are killing people when you are losing an argument.
First of all, you're a little bit too close to your microphone and you need to talk slower so I can understand you.
Why are you kicking people when you lose an argument?
Well, I don't know what scenario you're referring to because nobody has presented any type of rationale that defeated anything I said. So you're referring to a non-existent occurrence. So if you continue to troll, I'm going to eject you. Okay?
I'm not trolling.
Goodbye, my friend.
Wait, I will.
Auf Wiedersehen. Adios, amigos. Okay, let's go to. Welcome, Khalid. What would you like to talk about?
Hi, Darth. I spoke to you before. It was quite a while back. It was on your own show. And it was
you're a little too close to your microphone.
Oh, sorry. Is that better?
All right. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you're aware of this new film that's just been released. The story.
Yeah, you got to fix your microphone, okay? I can barely understand you. Okay, no, I can barely understand you. Okay.
Oh yeah, and one more thing. So for the host, can you also mod Mysterious Galaxy? So He's in chat as well.
Yeah, you got to be careful. There's a real mysterious galaxy, and then there's an impersonator. The real mysterious galaxy has 5,000 followers.
Yeah, the real one has 5,000.
Yeah.
5,400.
He says he's the real one.
Yeah. JH, what trolling would you like to do this time?
No, I'd actually like to have a.
Okay, so you got kicked because you were trolling the last time you came up on stage.
I've had a change of heart, I promise.
Okay, excellent. Go ahead. Are you an atheist?
I guess I'm more of a pantheist.
Okay, and how old are you?
I'm 19.
Okay, what would you like to talk about?
Well, I don't know. Like, you say a lot of things like, this is uncontroversial. Can you prove those things?
Well, when I said that there's an appearance of design in the world that is uncontroversial, that is an ironclad fact. You would absolutely lose money if you bet it against me. Okay, we can begin to substantiate this by going to any AI that you want and asking it to give you several dozen citations from elite or top atheist academics with PhDs within the corpus of their own books and scholarly papers. They admit that, yes, the world appears to be the product of design, but rather that it's an illusion of design. They're qualifying their acknowledgement that there's an appearance of design. The very concept. Do you all I want is a yes or no. Do you accept natural selection?
Yes.
Okay, the very term natural selection is a conceptual way of arguing that the world is an illusion of design brought about by naturalistic occurrences. Okay, so natural selection was a compound term that was borrowed and is a playoff of domestic selection. Domestic selection involving selecting certain traits that the animal breeders or domestic breeders wanted to retain over generations. And so domestic selection would constitute a form of design, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so when Darwin came up with the term natural selection, he's trying to accept the formally considered complex form and function in animal groups. And he tried to explain it in terms of naturalistic occurrences, but he borrowed off the term natural selection to juxtapose it against domestic selection, which was design. And he was thoroughly educated in the design arguments from the 18th century William Paley. So the very concept of natural selection, both in concept and nomenclature, is indicating that at least with regard to biological complexity, that it is an illusion of design brought about by naturalistic mechanisms. So when I say that the world appears to be designed from the smallest to the grandest scale, and including the mind-boggling biological complexity, right? To say that it is an appearance of design is not only a fact; it's utterly uncontroversial by virtue of people who are not ignorant or uneducated. Now, what people infer from the appearance of design would be considered to be controversial. You could infer that the world appears to be designed because it is, or you can infer that the world appears to be designed because it's an illusion of design. But that the world appears to be designed is utterly uncontroversial. It would only seem or be deemed to be controversial by people who are ignorant and uneducated.
I guess it's like, so do you don't believe in evolution?
No.
But genetics can be passed down over time.
Well, that's consistent with creationism and intelligent design.
And wouldn't the best genetics survive over the longest period of time?
That is differential reproduction, and those things that do not have deleterious passing on of genes.
What does deleterious mean?
It means negative, bad. Okay. So biological variation and reproduction is something that is accepted and acknowledged by creationism, intelligent design, and evolutionists. So biological variation and reproduction, and including those organisms that are more fit in a given environment, that they tend to survive and reproduce, is not logically discriminatory or exclusive to Darwin's theory of evolution, but it is also a part of creationism and intelligent design. Okay. Now, the idea, though, that random variation, random mutations aided by survival events built the entire genome, that cannot be defended. How would you observe that?
Apes.
No.
They're very similar.
So what? And the
why do we look so similar?
Why? Because God created a similar anatomy and physiology for creatures that he wanted to be somewhat alike but also different.
Do they serve
so similarity? Why is it that? Let me ask you this question. In September, Apple's coming out with a brand new foldable phone. It's called the iPhone Ultra. Have you heard about it?
Yeah.
Okay. It has striking similarities to the iPad. Okay, in terms of form and function and operating system, the underlying code. Now, are both the iPad Mini, and the new iPad Ultra, and even the iPhone itself, are they the product of design or chance over time?
They're the product of design, but they both
right. And so we have similarities. We have striking similarities in form and function that are the product of design. Well, similarities in morphology, anatomy, and physiology can be explained through common design. Explaining the complex form and function by chance, aided by survival events, is virtually statistically impossible.
Mathematically impossible.
Now, if you want to abandon statistical reasoning or probabilities and still embrace that evolution happened, then I can't stop you with, being inconsistent in using probability when it suits you, but then abandoning it when you want to embrace something as ridiculous that mutations built the entire genome of the animal kingdom.
Could it maybe be correct that, say you take the first ever phone and compare it to the phone of today, it has evolved?
Yeah, you're using the word evolve there, meaning it's changed. Okay. Now,
and that's what happened. That's what I think happened.
Well, guess what? You just made a blunder right there, and you're not alone. Somebody in the past, several decades ago, used the comparison in the changing form and function of Corvettes. But what you're missing is that both of them are the product of intentional and intelligent design.
Oh, that's agreeable, I guess.
Okay. Anything? Yeah.
Because then my understanding...
By the way, I want to compliment you. You were trolling before, but you're acting very mature now. And
I can actually have a good conversation when I try.
Excellent. Okay. Go ahead. Continue.
So I guess then maybe it's about the separation. We're not animals. Is that kind of your stance?
Animals is just it's just a classification terminology. It speaks nothing of origin. Okay. It's just it's what we call what's the term I'm looking for?
Nomenclature?
It's not just nomenclature. It has to do with classification systems. Okay. You can classify all sorts of things by common features. It's what's the word I'm looking for? Why can't I remember it? It's going to come to me any second.
Is it sortal?
It has to do with grouping animal groups. What's the term? Well, it'll come to me. So the fact that you say humans are animals, okay, fine. But if you're grouping us because we have shared characteristics,
is it taxonomy? Taxonomy?
That's it. Yeah, that's it. So animals is just thank you. That it's a taxonomic classification. Taxonomy does not establish.
That came from real Renaissance.
Yeah. So taxonomy doesn't establish descent. And they attempt to do so with what is called cladistics or clads, where they attempt to reason or conjecture or extrapolate certain family lineages between various types of animal groups. But cladistics themselves isn't necessarily true, because they're imposing a lot of evolutionary theory on that. Like when they say, for example, if they have a clade, which is a kind of family tree, that birds are descendants of dinosaurs. That is not scientifically establishable. That is conjecture, and it is speculative, but it is communicated as though there was, absolute scientific confirmation of descendancy.
There are some compelling examples, like a cassowary. Do you know what a cassowary is?
I know the word. Just no,
it's like a big bird that looks like a dinosaur.
Okay, so you mean like an ostrich or an emu?
Sort of, yeah.
Okay, yeah. What about it? It's a bird.
It's very aggressive, and it's just it matches fossil records. And
so what? We have living fossils today. We have alligators. There are fish that are living fossils today.
But do you think dinosaur fossils are real?
Yes, I do. I think that the fossils that we have is the remains of Noah's flood.
Do you believe that? I'm not sure how old do you think the Earth is?
Based upon the biblical chronology that God has given us, is around 6,000 years, maybe a little bit more. Okay, the idea of deep time is based upon circular reasoning.
That's not a lot of time.
So what?
I mean, there's thousands of human cultures across the planet, and they've all spanned past 6,000 years.
That's a matter of extrapolation and conjecture.
How?
Yeah, how are they able to determine that it goes past 6,000 years? Well, they're conjecturing.
Carbon dating?
No, carbon dating has the same problems. After if you carbon date something past a few thousand years, then you run into problems of circular reasoning that afflicts radiometric isotope dating. Radiometric isotope dating has to start from an a priori commitment that deep time is true first. If you don't start with the adoption that deep time is true, then then your conclusion that the daughter isotope, decayed from the parent element, and you extrapolate backwards through mathematical calculations, then the extrapolation isn't necessarily true. Because if we start from the proviso that the Earth is young, that's the product of a young fiat creation, then the extrapolation will be false. So you have to start with the a priori commitment that young Earth creationism is false in order to have at least a viable extrapolation from the alleged daughter element to the parent element.
So would you not then believe in like the classical Triassic, like Jurassic time periods?
No, these are all descriptors based upon the so-called geological column that is operating off of the uniformitarianism paradigm that was promulgated in the 19th century by Charles Lyell, that sexually co-opted the minds of geologists from the prior state of catastrophism. That the geological column will not be explained by catastrophism, but rather the geological column will be explained by the paradigm of uniformitarianism. Uniformitarianism is that the key to the past is the present. That the slow-moving processes that we observe today will be used to explain things such as various sedimentary findings around the world. Uniformitarianism cannot be scientifically established. Okay, but it is the colored sunglasses through which the sedimentary deposits around the world are interpreted. And that's where you come up with these different ages, right? rather than these sedimentary layers were laid down recurrently, rapidly over a couple of weeks or a couple of months during the recurrent flooding of the landmass under Noah's flood. So Noah's flood didn't just rain for 40 days and 40 nights. There was massive geological upheaval in terms of plate tectonics, causing massive earthquakes, resulting in massive recurrent tsunamis, flooding the landmass over and over and over again, causing numerous sedimentary deposits, which are now interpreted as long periods of time, rather than the sedimentary material was laid down rapidly. Anything else?
1 sec. I've heard about the sedimentary thing before. I've seen you on a live talking about it. I don't know. It's like we share so many different beliefs that I could say a million different things, and we could argue like all day.
Well, I've just shown you
that. So I love having debate.
The interpretation of the geological column is a battle over paradigms, not over scientific facts. Okay, dominant paradigms that function in consensus come and go in the history of science. That a given paradigm is held in consensus is no guarantee that it's true.
Okay. Would you think that I was being rude if I said that you kind of pick and choose when to believe in science?
No, that you wouldn't be rude, but I would disagree with you.
How old do you think the universe is?
From an Earth perspective, around 6,000 years.
Even with like background radiation and things like that?
The so-called cosmic background radiation doesn't demonstrate that the universe is old.
I mean, I kind of see it like, I try and make it like the universe is like a cloud and it's evaporating.
I'm not interested in your imaginations, okay? I want you to explain to me, how does astronomy, notice I said astronomy and not cosmology because they're similar yet distinct fields. How does astronomy dictate that the universe is old?
Because you can track the trajectory of planets.
Doesn't mean that it's old.
Okay, but then you could maybe say that there's no way to prove that it's not an infinite universe that's always been here.
Well, that's a paradigm that used to be held before the Big Bang, which was called the steady state theory. The steady state theory that the universe has always been around was supplanted and replaced after the observation of the cosmic background radiation and the apparent expansion of the universe. That idea rocked their world, and so they started to adopt another naturalistic explanation, which was the Big Bang cosmology, which has numerous problems in and of itself. But because it represents naturalism and materialism, and they foolishly and in an unwarranted way deny and reject young Earth creationism, that's what you have. It's a part of the last days deception. Okay, the Bible warns about this. Okay, and this deception started in the 19th century with the likes of Charles Lyell, the father of modern geology, where he got a geologist to abandon catastrophism as a model or a paradigm to interpret various geological occurrences or sedimentary layers and to adopt uniformitarianism, right? And uniformitarianism today is pretty much dominant, although they will allow for instances of catastrophism, but overall they adopt a uniformitarian approach, which cannot be scientifically established. But it is the paradigm that they use to interpret things, and that's why they come up with the different, the Jurassic, the and all the different labels that they have for the so-called geological column. I recommend that you read Dr. Terry Mortenson's book, which is a rewritten version of his doctoral dissertation called The Great Turning Point. Terry is a Christian, and he has a PhD in the history of geology, where he shows the historical development of the philosophy of geology. It's called The Great Turning Point. You can find it floating around on the internet. Okay, The Great Turning Point by Dr. Terry Mortensen.
Okay. With like how a lot of like, so it's like a lot of your things, like they're scientifically backed and they're uncontroversial, then, you know, with like
the fact that it's uncontroversial, the fact that it's uncontroversial in terms of consensus doesn't make it true. Are all conclusions in science provisional and subject to revision, change, and refutation based upon a re-examination of the data and future observations?
I guess science is always, you're never 100%.
Yeah, right. Okay.
But then it's just, I don't know.
Let me ask you. If Jesus Christ returns tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay. And Jesus Christ represents the Bible and young earth creationism, would the return of Jesus Christ falsify the idea of millions of years and the so-called geological ages? Would that falsify that?
Probably, yeah.
Okay, can you rule out that will happen?
Kinda.
How?
Because it's explicitly meant to be a very vague event that's never going to happen.
Okay, wow, you have some reading to do, my friend.
Oh, trust me, I've read it.
Well, then you said you said it could never happen. Please explain how it could never happen.
Well, that's the beauty of it, you know. You tell people this guy is going to come back and save them.
You're not answering my question. How is the return of Jesus Christ impossible?
Well, you know, some guy could turn up and he could be called Jesus Christ.
No, sir, you said it's...
But I don't think a guy's going to come down from the clouds.
Sir, it doesn't... I'm not interested in you giving me a psychological report of your belief state. You said the return of Jesus Christ, the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, is impossible. Please tell me how that's impossible. I don't want to hear a psychological report that you believe differently. I want you to tell me why it's impossible.
Because you can't prove that it won't happen. You can't prove that it will happen.
That is not a defeater. That's an appeal to ignorance fallacy. Okay?
What does that mean?
An appeal to ignorance fallacy is that a proposition is true because it hasn't been falsified. So you're saying that the return of Jesus Christ is false because it's not true because it hasn't been proven. That too is an appeal to ignorance fallacy. The appeal to ignorance fallacy can be invoked in a positive or a negative way. Okay, so you haven't demonstrated even in the least that the return of Jesus Christ is false, that it is impossible to happen. You're just saying, oh, I just don't have a reason to believe it. That's an appeal to ignorance fallacy.
That's good enough for me.
No, you're not understanding. That's a logical fallacy.
Okay.
If you say something is impossible, then it has to be based upon rational grounds, not by virtue of an appeal to ignorance fallacy. If you say something is true, okay, like there are rocks on the moon or there are not rocks on the moon, and you say something is true, and something is true because it hasn't been falsified, that's an appeal to ignorance fallacy. And that's what you're implying here logically.
So then I could say that it's impossible that Earth is 6,000 years old because it's been proven to not be.
Okay. Does science prove anything?
I mean, science proves that, like, you can see things because of light and that you're on the Earth because of gravity.
Okay, so that could never be falsified?
Not really.
Okay, so Sir Karl Popper offered the notion that if something is unfalsifiable, it cannot be considered within the domain of science. He's probably one of the greatest philosophers of science that lived in the 20th century.
I think you could gain a better understanding of it.
Yeah, you're not. This is going over your head. You don't even understand the elementary mistakes that you're making. Okay. So the fact of the matter is, are all conclusions in science provisional?
No.
Okay. Could you tell me a conclusion in science that is not provisional?
What? So like you can't falsify it?
Yeah, that it could. Well, that not only that it could be falsified, but that it's true. There might be something that's unfalsifiable, but it doesn't mean that it's false.
The atom is real.
Okay, and how do you know that?
Because you can observe it.
Okay, well, actually, no. Okay, the concepts that we have about the structure and function of atoms are conceptual representations of mathematical formulas. Did you know that? So for example, the existence, the function, and the structure of atoms is almost entirely inferential. Are you aware of that?
So what, like inconsequential? Like
no. Inferential means that I derive a conclusion based upon an observation, but I don't directly observe it. So, for example, do you believe that there are creatures other than yourself that have minds?
Yeah.
Okay, you are inferring that they have minds because these meat machines are talking to you. You can't see a mind. Okay? So science is, look, I'm not downgrading science. I'm not anti-science. There are a very few concepts that are popular within science that I and other Bible-believing Christians would disagree with. I accept most things in science because they involve observation, testing, and repeatability with a great deal of predictive, if not entire, success. But there are certain things in science that aren't subject to observation, testing, repeatability with predictive success. Okay? But if you're going to call them proven, what you're actually referring to is that there are certain concepts that may be held dogmatically and held in consensus and taught to students as though they were a fact when they are not a fact. Is it a fact that random mutations aided by survival events constructed the entire genome of the animal kingdom?
I think it's a bit more nuanced than that.
Okay, is it a fact that random mutations over millions of years, aided by repeated survival events, constructed the entire genome of the animal kingdom?
Yeah.
Okay, and how did you determine that? Through observation, testing, repeatability with predictive success?
It's been done millions of times.
That's not an answer to my question.
By people much smarter than you and me.
Okay, okay. Right now you're bluffing because you have no idea what you're talking about.
You can go and search this up.
Sir, look, listen to me carefully. Can you observe the past?
Yeah.
No, you can't.
You can't travel back into the past, but you can.
No. You're confusing inferring things that you see in the present that you infer are emblematic of certain things you happened in the past, but you can't observe the past. Okay?
Mm.
Now, evolution is the theory that in the past, random mutations at a molecular level happening over billions of years, aided by persisting survival events, established and created the entire genome of the animal kingdom. That's in the past. That's unobservable. You can't test it. Okay?
So can you test Jesus?
Jesus is not a scientific concept. You're committing a category error.
Now, what can't be what can't be tested is a belief.
We're never going to meet in the middle. I can just.
That's because you're like a Muslim. You have been brainwashed into
materialism. Well, you know, we're just two separate individuals.
Let me finish. Let me tell you what
you have to be above me.
Okay, no, sir, I'm going to tell you something, all right? Do you think that Muslims are brainwashed into believing Islam?
You could be brainwashed.
Okay, sir, you're dodging my reasonable question. See, I know that somebody is fearful and intimidated when I ask. Okay, are Muslims brainwashed into believing that Islam is true?
Some of them, yeah.
Okay, so Islam is true then?
It's just as unlikely as your religion.
No, okay, all right. See, what you just demonstrated to me is you have a youthful lack of critical thinking skills and a lack of focusing skills. You're not focusing.
Oh, you're an arrogant arsehole, Gary.
Goodbye.
Gary, come on.
Goodbye.
You're an
the mask comes up. Bye. You see, notice how I'll ask a succinct question. It'll have a very narrow parameter, and they come back with an answer that does not reflect the question that I asked. Okay? So I'm trying to point out to him he is very much as brainwashed with certain materialistic, naturalistic concepts that have been smuggled into science that is claimed to be science when it is simply naturalism and materialism posing as science. And he has been brainwashed by the imams of science that these concepts aren't true science when they're not science, in the same way that Muslims have been brainwashed by their religious imams.
And I was also saying that those are all beliefs that they have. All of them are beliefs. They're not verifiably demonstrated. They're not demonstrated.
No, you'll notice when somebody is in trouble, when you ask them a succinct question, that the answer you give is not pertaining to the question asked. Okay, what do you want to talk about, Anglican?
I didn't even... Okay, so... Well, I want to actually have a discussion with you on evolution. Is that okay, Darth?
That's fine.
Okay. Do you think that there's two different worldviews? There's one that's common design and common design and common origin. Is that kind of fair to say?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so you used kind of the analogy. You said, I don't even know if you use this analogy, but this is a common one, which is like, there's Ford and there's Toyota. And if you have Ford and Toyota, they're going to use the same parts to make the same things, even if the form, function, and morphology and kind of the what would be analogous to the phylogeny of it looks very similar. That's kind of a fair analogy, right?
You're not making yourself clear.
Like they use the same metal parts, they use the same material, they say all this kind of stuff, and so just...
Well, actually, that's false. Ford and Chrysler and other car companies use different parts. Okay, they may resemble. They don't use Ford parts in Chryslers. Okay.
It's just kind of for the purpose of a hypothetical. It's just
now. Yeah. Well, they both have mufflers. They both have catalytic converters. They both have, let's say, 4 or 6 cylinder engines. They might even use the same catalytic converter in the Ford versus the Chrysler from the same manufacturer. But generally speaking, the parts that they have are specifically manufactured for exclusively and designed by the respective car companies.
Right. But the analogy kind of serves to be the case that whatever those kind of internal differentiations.
Yeah. So there is a change of form and function over time that is the result and guided and directed and caused by intentionality, not chance.
Okay. What do you think that God intentionally uses forms of critical mutations in the human genome to intentionally create deleterious parts of the coding sequences? Do you think that he adds things that are bad?
God has allowed, with the fall of man, the earth and including biological systems to go into a degraded functionality, which would include that as a part of his plan of redemptive history.
Yeah, that would be the post-lapsarian condition. We don't really expect everything to be perfect. But what I would say to that is that there's other hominids, or there's other kind of like primates, like old world monkeys, chimpanzees, gorillas, and so forth. That if you look,
are you talking about creatures that are alive today?
Yeah.
What about them?
For example, like the gulo pseudogenes. If you look at the gulo pseudogenes that are responsible for vitamin C synthesis, they have the same critical mutation in exon 10, which is a single nucleotide deletion. It results in a time shift.
Okay. Yeah, and there can be a common cause, given that we have biological system which caused a common failure in both of them. Doesn't necessarily mean that one inherited from another.
Right, and you would say that the evolutionist is kind of smuggling in the presupposition that these constitute molecular fossils, right?
What they're arguing for when it comes to pseudogenes or a defective gene that may be shared with the chimpanzee and a human, they're trying to say that fact is logically discriminatory for evolution, and cannot be a concept or an actuality within creationism. That's simply false. So William Lane Craig made this argument when he was defending evolution while reading from Douglas Feuderman's book on evolution about the issue of pseudogenes. There are a number of excellent, even highly technical articles that refute this at creationist sites by people with PhDs in philosophy who argue that these are not actually pseudogenes. Okay? These may be genes that have become inactive or defective. But the argument from pseudogenes or endogenous retroviruses are specious arguments. And in fact, to call them endogenous retroviruses is begging the question. Well,
so you don't deny microevolution. You don't deny that there's kind of a process of biological evolution.
We can observe, test, and repeat that in biological descendancy in the present, that there is variation or differential reproduction. Okay. In fact, I'm about to read one of several books that is going into a technical discussion about how within the creationist model, God deliberately built in more information into the genome that is executed, but will result in a diversification through many multiple generations of certain kinds of animals, where you will have a modification in terms of its representation. Now, a poor example of that would be the different kinds of breeds of dogs. But so the fact that you can have variance through many successive generations due to unexpressed information within the genome that was there to begin with in creation, that equally explains a variety of animals within a certain kind. So the fact that there are similarities in structures but significant differences in other areas, that doesn't mean a universal common ancestry.
Agreed. Each modal counterfactual is going to have the equal explanatory scope insofar as that it has an explanation and account for that. But what I'm saying is that based on probability, if you take the example of the same base deletion position, the same locus of those exon genes that are responsible for the Kulo genes, that's about 1 in 2.2 billion chance. So there's a lot of ways in biomolecular biology.
You just made a mistake.
Okay, go ahead.
You don't want to invoke statistics because it will backfire on you. Do you want to invoke statistics?
Well, this is statistics relative to just a...
Okay, so you're talking about the improbability. Okay, good. Do you know that Dr. Eugene Koonin, one of the world's greatest experts on evolution and microbiology, in his own highly technical book on defending evolution, he said that evolution, meaning, and he uses the term self-replicating systems. He's not just talking about abiogenesis, but evolution. He says self-replicating systems are virtually impossible to occur absent a multiverse, but with a multiverse, they're guaranteed. So he's basically communicating that even in a universe that is unimaginably large, that there's just in a single universe, even if you had, billions, trillions of Earth-like planets, there's not a snowball's chance in hell that mutations could build a genome. And that's why he says a multiverse is required. And by a multiverse, he just doesn't mean 50, 100, 1,000, 1,000,000. He's talking about an unimaginable amount of universes. And the reason why he's invoking the multiverse is to overcome the mind-boggling, near statistical possibility of mutations building the genome.
I don't see how that's relevant for me as a theist.
It's relevant because if you believe in evolution, then you believe that random mutations aided by survival events built the genome of the entire animal kingdom. That is subject to a statistical analysis, a probabilistic analysis.
Yeah, I just think that God foreordained evolution to
You're introducing a theological concept. This is not science. Science teaches, the scientific position is that there are random mutations. Okay, that the mutations are not directed in terms of their arrangement. So, is there a mechanism that is used to explain the arrangement of nucleotides?
Yeah, I think that evolution has an explanatory scope for that.
What is the mechanism that produces the arrangement of any individual nucleotides?
I really don't even need that because evolution just.
You're dodging. You're now being dishonest. I'll ask the question again that you are dodging, and you're well practiced at dodging, but I'm well practiced at focusing. Now, what is the mechanism that produced the arrangement of nucleotides in terms of the common ancestry? What's the mechanism that produced the arrangement of nucleotides?
It's going to be descent with modification through allele changes.
No. Yeah, dude, don't try to bullshit me. Okay. Don't try to bullshit somebody who is fairly informally well-read on evolutionary theory. All you're just simply doing is giving me the verbiage of a generalization about evolution. I didn't ask you to recapitulate in a generalized way evolution. I said, what is the mechanism at a molecular level? What mechanism produced the arrangement of nucleotides?
Go ahead.
I'm waiting for your answer.
I was looking at Eugene Koonen's Darth. This doesn't look like evolution. This looks like
if you continue to dodge as you have before, I'm going to eject you. Now, what is the mechanism that produces the arrangement of nucleotides that is acknowledged pervasively in the theory of evolution? What is the mechanism that produced any arrangement of nucleotides?
Yeah, mutation.
No. Mutations would account for each individual point nucleotide. I said the arrangement of nucleotide. Okay. Is each individual mutation that occurs, is it considered directed or undirected?
I don't know what that means, Darth.
Okay, then you shouldn't be commenting on evolution.
Is it directed or undirected? What does that mean?
Yeah, is each individual point in the nucleotide chain, each addition or deletion within the chain from an evolutionary theoretical perspective, is each individual mutation directed or undirected? See, now I'm demonstrating you don't have the foggiest idea of what you're talking about, other than a pre-memorized generalization of evolutionary theory that you would present to fifth graders. So you're not talking to a fifth grader here. You're dealing with somebody who's a little bit more knowledgeable, educated, and sophisticated.
Well, it's undirected.
So trying to bullshit me isn't going to work.
It's undirected relative to fitness needs, so there's nothing
that. So each individual mutation is undirected. Is that your position?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's false.
It's undirected towards fitness needs.
Yeah. So each individual point mutation is not considered to be undirected. It's considered to be directed by various things like cosmic radiation, chemical interruption, things like that. So each individual point mutation is considered to be the product of some like chemical occurrence or principle of physics. Okay, so each individual. Now, the question is now the arrangement of the point mutations. Is there a single overall mechanism that produces the arrangement of the individual directed mutations?
No, I couldn't give you an answer.
What? I didn't hear you.
I could not give you an answer to that, Darth.
Okay, so then the answer is there isn't a mechanism. It's considered chance, then aided by survival occurrences.
Mm-hmm.
So what you're trying to say is God is directing. So you're introducing a contradiction here. Okay, but you're bringing in God as a directive mechanism on a system that is categorized as being undirected. Okay, so you have a contradiction on your hands. Where in the field of science, within mainstream science, do they say that God directed the arrangement of mutations? Could you show me what textbook says that?
No.
Or are you pulling that out of your butt?
No, it's because it's not a scientific statement that any scientist would make.
Oh, okay. So it's conjecture, right?
No, it's just a category.
Okay, if it's not. Look, dude. I'm really getting pissed with you because you think that you can bullshit me with your gift of the gab, and you do have a good gift of the gab. But I have 16 years of debate experience, and I know when somebody is using verbiage to try to bullshit me. And I'm not just talking about that we disagree. I can differentiate between bullshitting and where we just at loggerheads, we disagree on certain issues. Right now, you're just trying to bullshit me with verbiage. Okay? And that's an insult to my intelligence. Now, so that God directed the arrangement of mutations, can that be found in any scientific text on the subject?
No, because it's not a scientific matter.
Okay, so then why are you talking about evolution then?
Because I'm not saying that God is within evolution.
Okay, so here's the problem. Do you accept Jesus' testimony that Adam and Eve were made in the beginning?
Yeah.
Okay, the beginning of what?
It doesn't say what the beginning is. It just says that
it most certainly does. Either you're ignorant or you're a liar. Okay, he was referring to Genesis chapter 1. Okay. The very first verse of the Bible says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And then it details the sequential process that God did over 6 days. Okay. It says there was evening and morning, day 1, evening and morning, day 2. So Jesus is referring to the beginning of the creation and specifically the 6-day creation. He says in the beginning. Now, was Jesus wrong?
No, Jesus is never wrong.
Okay. So Jesus is referring to, and then we have the genealogies in the Bible, right? There couldn't be more than 6, 7, 8,000 years in terms of the genealogies. So the Bible indicates to us the age from the time of the first week of creation by virtue that we can analyze and do calculations based upon the genealogy listings. There's no millions or billions of years. So where did you get this idea that God directed these mutations when it's not found in science and it's not found in the Bible? Did you just make that up out of thin air?
Well, I think that any theistic evolutionist who thinks that evolution is true has to agree to that because God created it.
Where did you? You're not answering my question. I said, where'd you get it from?
That's just my conviction that God exists.
Is it conjecture?
No, it's not conjecture.
Okay, good. I have no reason to believe you're conjecture.
Like, for example, I'm picking up a pen right now. I have a pen in my hand. I feel like by modus ponens, we can just kind of say that God is causing that.
Dude, don't try to bullshit me with logic and philosophy like you experience, okay? Don't insult my intelligence. Now, the fact of the matter is, why do you believe evolution happened? Based upon what?
Well, I think that it provides an explanatory scope based on the convergences of evolution.
All right. Listen. I'm going to give you one more warning. This is the last warning. Stop trying to bullshit me. I know exactly what you meant by what you said, but it's unnecessary verbiage intending to bullshit. Now, what reason do you have to believe that evolution happened?
Yeah, it's inference to the best explanation. It's the best explanation.
Okay. Have a nice day. I told you to stop bullshitting me.
How's that not a good answer?
Goodbye. You're done.
Interesting.
Okay, so I told you to stop bullshitting, and you decided you wanted to continue bullshit. Telling me it's an inference to the best explanation is an utterly non-informative. I was asking you for specificity, and you decided you wanted to bullshit some more, right? Which makes you out to be a liar. Okay, now I could agree with you that from your perspective, it's an inference to the best explanation, but it doesn't address my question as to why evolution is true. That's right. Just you're invoking a generalization because you don't have the courage of your own convictions to explain to me why evolution is true. That's why you respond with just a vague or vacuous generalization. This is what people do when they can't give specificity or they're embarrassed to give specificity. And I ask you multiple times to stop bullshitting, right? I don't have to agree with what you say, but if you give me empty BS rhetoric, right, which is intended to stall, dodge, and delay, and deliberately to be ambiguous, right? I'm done with you. And you were warned multiple times. Okay, I warned you multiple times. Stop with the vague generalizations and the nomenclature dropping. I'm familiar with all that nomenclature. Okay, it's a rhetorical ploy to pretend like it's a sophisticated answer when it's not. Okay, that there is biological variation in certain kinds of animals is entirely consistent with creation and intelligent design. It does not demonstrate that over millions or billions of years, mutations aided by survival events constructed and built the entire genome of the animal kingdom. Okay, so simply pointing to various animals that fall within a particular kind and that there's a clear or compelling reason to believe that there's biological variation and descendancy, that's not logically discriminatory for evolution. It's consistent with creationism as well.
The chairman is going to be direct in this case.
You see how people will be deceitful, Adrian? When I first asked him, I said, is this conjecture? He said no. Then he finally had to admit, yeah, it's conjecture.
Yeah, I'm wondering what he meant by like inference to the best explanation. Like it's just like a assumption or something.
It was a stopgap verbiage, deliberately intended to be vague and ambiguous because he either didn't want to or couldn't think of an answer that gives specificity to account that evolution happened.
Yeah. Another question that I think would be good to ask him is his understanding of science. Like, does he believe it's like a consensus, or like how does he understand that?
I don't have a problem with there being a consensus. There's a consensus about a lot of things, but it doesn't mean that the consensus is always right.
Hey, Darth, can someone consistently be a Christian and believe in evolution?
Well, when you say consistently a Christian, what do you mean by that?
Consistently believe the Bible's testimony and be a Christian, because I don't think the Bible supports evolution.
Well, let's take William Lane Craig, okay? I do not doubt William Lane Craig's salvation testimony. I think that he is a genuine born-again Christian.
Right.
I think he is dead wrong in his advocacy of deep time and evolution. I think he's terribly wrong because he's compromising in that area, and he's adopted some ridiculous positions about the Bible. If somebody adopts that erroneous idea, does that make them not a Christian? No, you can. What makes you a Christian is that you repent, you recognize your damnation, that you are under God's damnation and wrath and condemnation. We repent and turn to Christ as Savior, and when we do, the Spirit endows us with new life, makes us born again, and we're sealed by the Spirit. And we are then to follow the direction of the Holy Spirit as he is revealed in Scripture. And sometimes people will deviate with some very important matters. It doesn't mean that they're not a Christian.
Okay, so how I see it is all error. Sorry, all heresy is error, but not all heresy is error. Sorry. All heresy is error, but not all error is heresy.
I think the embracing of evolution is a very significant error that needs to be strongly condemned and criticized. But I'm not going to say that it is an error that will be a marker that he's not born again.
Yeah,
now,
it's not heresy.
Christ,
it's not heresy.
Well, I think it's heresy. But I don't think it's the kind of heresy by which we conclude that they're not saved.
Okay.
Heresy comes from the root word meaning to cause a division.
All
of the earliest church fathers, believed in a young earth.
Yeah, I do too. Okay. I'm not changing that.
That doesn't make it true. I'm just saying that they did. Okay. The bottom line is, believing evolution does not destroy one being born again, but it is a big problem.
Right. And it's circular.
I try to be patient with people who have succumbed to the deception of evolution, because they have been significantly deceived by Satan through the materialism and naturalism that has been smuggled into science, and then is held up as science when it's a horrible scientific position. Now, there are some Christians who say evolution is not science. I completely disagree with them. It is a scientific theory. Is it a bad scientific theory? Yeah, it's a bad scientific theory. Is it widely held? Yes.
Hey, Darth, is there a difference between hypothesis and theory?
Yeah, a theory is a well worked out hypothesis that typically could be said to have undergone observation testing with predictive success, but it's not a guarantee that it's true.
So has evolution been through that process?
Well, originally evolution was a hypothesis,
right?
But then it began to develop in terms of its specificity. As much as I disagree with its accuracy, to say that it's a hypothesis would be kind of an understatement. But a hypothesis and a theory are both attempts to explain phenomenon. A theory is something that is significantly more a theory is something that is significantly more worked through and reasoned.
Right.
So a hypothesis is something that has of a lesser stature than a theory does. No, you're not coming up, Anglican bro. Yeah, that's just stupid, Atticus Finch. You just make stupid comments. Atticus, come on up and explain how I'm creating atheist. My guess is you don't have the balls to come up. You're just being a drive-by heckler.
You're creating atheists?
Yeah,
that's funny.
Come on up. Good.
That's a good one.
I want you to give me specificity instead of ambiguous generalizations. How am I creating atheists?
No, yeah, you're just going to kick me in 30 seconds. You always do.
Yeah, I didn't understand that mumbling.
Okay, I said you're just going to kick me in 30 seconds. You always do.
Okay, I'm waiting for you to explain with specificity how I create atheists. Okay, I'm waiting.
He's just talking out of his ass. He's talking out of his ass.
8.
Yeah, so you don't have the balls to come up and back up your statement.
Oh, no, I came up. I'm literally right here.
I'm waiting for you to
dribble,
explain.
Your tag, your ridiculousness, your belligerence. your refusal to engage anybody. All you ever do is call people filibusters when they don't stick to your script, and then you end up.
Yeah, that's just a generalization. You're not giving me specificity of how
that was
people,
very specific. Do you know what tag is?
How does?
Do you know what tag is?
All right, dude.
Do you know what tag?
I don't want to have to block you.
Oh, you're gonna kick me. You're gonna kick me.
All right,
You're gonna block me.
Goodbye.
Do you know what tag is?
Here we go. He's blocked already.
It's very specific.
Bye bye.
It's very specific.
Bye bye.
You know what
You're done. Bye bye. Okay, they can't help themselves. When they come up, when I mock them and saying you don't have the balls to come up, but when they come up, they just filibuster, just like what we just saw there. He refused to dialogue like an adult. So I'm just not going to waste my time. Did he give specificity of how? Well, all he did was what he just simply says is because what he considers to be bad faith behavior or bad character or conduct on my part, that this significantly facilitates or inculcates people denying God. That's just patently ridiculous. It's just these people are just they're so lacking in character. They just it's called TTAB. Have you ever heard of it? It's a communicable disease among skeptics. Teenagers trapped in adult bodies.
Wait, say it again. TTAB?
Yeah, it's a new communicable disease that spreads from one skeptic to another. It's called TTAB. Teenagers trapped in adult bodies.
Hey, stay on the live. I'll be right back. Keep running it.
Yeah, we'll do. Anglican, you're not coming up. I'm tired of your trying to BS me and not to answer direct questions. No, Atticus Finch demonstrated that, he was heckling, he was bluffing, he's got nothing. He couldn't defend that my so-called disposition, my demeanor, my conduct, my character actually facilitates or inculcates people denying God. So ask, do you see the pattern of behavior here? How dishonest and deceitful people are.
Yep. Yeah, it's been interesting.
I try to cut through all the bull crap with surgically precise questions. But the first time Anglican was up, he brought up a good point. What is the difference between the position that I'm espousing and other Christians espouse and phenomenal conservatism? Well, there's a striking similarity, but they're not the same. So tag is that the revelation of God revealing that a God who's the sum of all perfection is the precondition of all things is established by its own positive representation and the impossibility of the contrary. Whereas phenomenal conservatism is I'm justified in believing something in the absence of a defeater. So there's a difference between there being an absence of a defeater versus the impossibility of the contrary. So, for example, one was justified in believing that the sun and the moon orbited the earth in the absence of a defeater. Well, along came Copernicus with his new theory. And it took a while because even Copernicus' theory had certain problems, right, that were eventually worked out. It took a while. It wasn't like the light clicked on, they go, oh, wow, Copernicus is right. Because even Copernicus' theory had problems. But once the Copernican theory had been more robustly worked out, it functioned as a significant defeater for the Aristotelian and the geocentric model, right? Rather than the heliocentric. The geocentric meaning that the sun goes around the earth. And so with the Copernican model, it offered a significant defeater, and therefore a phenomenal conservative would have said, well, I formally believe that the sun orbited the sun because that's the way it appears, and there's absence of a defeater. But now with the Copernican model, once its difficulties were worked out, we now had a significant defeater, and so we can abandon that quote unquote it appeared, because you see the sun arcing in the sky every day and around the world could be explained by heliocentrism versus geocentrism. So we should differentiate between the way it appears versus the inference that we draw. So it appears that the sun is arcing in the sky. Now, inferring that the sun goes around the earth would be an inference added on top of the appearance. So when I say that the world overwhelmingly appears to be designed, because it is, with the impossibility of the country, although there's a striking similarity between that and phenomenal conservatism, that I'm justified in believing something the way it appears in the absence of a defeater. I'm not just saying there's an absence of a defeater. I'm saying it's an impossibility to defend that the world is an illusion of design, because when they attempt to do, though, they're practicing what is called atheist teleology, which they're smuggling in a God-independent world, which cannot be justified.
Yes, yeah, that's a great point. So the phenomenal conservatism, they say I'm justified in believing something in the absence of a defeater, but then I guess my question would be, like, in what context?
Yeah, exactly. Phenomenal conservatism is okay in some ordinary states of affairs. But when we have to differentiate between something appearing that way and an inference drawn from it. Okay? So there's a difference between the two. And additionally, when somebody, give me a second, when somebody says, well, the world appears to be godless, that's a vacuous statement. How does it appear to be godless? How is that? So you could have a skeptic try to use phenomenal conservatism, but it would fail when they talk about the appearance of the world being godless. How does it appear that the world is godless? How does that appear that way? And go ahead, biblical cosmology.
Where's the globe in your Bible?
Where's the globe? The Bible doesn't speak on that, other than Isaiah talking about the earth being circular.
That's the justification?
No, I didn't say that was the justification. I said we don't have the Bible speaking of the earth, but it was common knowledge among the ancients and throughout human history, other than some isolated groups, that the earth was spherical. The Greeks understood, going back. So you want to laugh, you're going to be made to look like a fool.
You're a joke.
Are you a flat earther?
I hold to biblical cosmology.
Okay, that's not an answer. That's a dodge. Dodge one more time, and I'm ejecting you.
Yeah, I'm a flat earther.
Okay, good. I don't.
You're a joke. You are a joke.
Bye. Goodbye.
Because you're afraid. Bye. You're afraid.
Bye.
Keep running, Darth.
I don't talk with nut jobs like you. Bye. I learned long ago not to waste my time talking with these people. Okay, let me just block him on. I would rather speak with a rabid atheist than a flat earther. What about you? Ask a Christian.
Yep, yeah, the same.
Yeah, because most of the flat earthers they're just trolls. They don't actually believe this. And if you actually believe it, then you're a mental case. There are overwhelming, robust reasons to believe in a spherical earth, and there are no reasons to believe in a flat earth. Welcome, Stone. What would you like to talk about?
That's odd. You can't answer the question, can you?
Or are you up here on a different account? Okay, thank you for coming up.
That's
so
what
I can block that too.
Bye. You're a Jesuit. You're a Freemason.
Bye. Yeah. Bye. Okay, so I'm a Jesuit. Ask a Christian. I wish he hadn't leaked that information, because now I'm ashamed that everybody knows I'm a Jesuit.
Now the Vatican's going to cut off your payroll.
I was hoping that it wouldn't be leaked that I was a trained Jesuit.
The cover's been blown.
Yeah. Yeah, the flat earthers are even scummier than rabid atheists.
And it's interesting. It's interesting.
I'm sorry, can you repeat your last two sentences? I didn't hear you.
Yeah, I was just saying, like, I don't really understand their fascination with trying to defend.
They're trolls.
Yeah.
These are people who have warped minds, and they like arguing with people over things that they just don't believe. Okay. The vast majority of flat earthers do not believe. They do not believe. Look, there was a notorious flat earther who actually built a rocket, and he launched himself in the rocket, claiming that he wanted to disprove that the Earth was a globe. Well, it went very badly. He crashed and he died. And one of his closest friends admitted publicly after his death, he didn't actually believe in a flat Earth. He was just scamming the public. Okay, so, I mean, there's a point to phenomenal conservatism, but phenomenal conservatism is not an absolute principle. It has to be used judiciously. So, like when the atheist says, as I said, that they're justified in believe that the world appears to be without God, and therefore in the absence of the defeater, they're justified. But how does the world appear to be without God? What's it even mean? So if I look out my window and there's droplets of water splattered all over the window, and I see droplets of water coming down, and I'm looking out the window, I'm justified in believing that it's raining outside in the absence of a defeater. But then when I walk into another room and I look out the window and I see that my neighbor is watering my lawn, and the water was coming down in front of my window, it had the appearance that it was raining out. But then I came up with a defeater, and I no longer believe that it's raining out, because now I have the defeater that my neighbor was watering my lawn and it was sprinkling all over my window. There's a place for that. It's just like when atheists use Occam's razor, they misapply it. Where they'll say, well, I apply Occam's razor, and that, atheism or naturalism has fewer assumptions. Well, first of all, Occam's razor assumes that both positions have equal explanatory power. Naturalism has no explanatory power. They can't account for the unity that is in the world from the smallest to the grandest scale. That's why I asked Graham Oppie that question. So these people abuse otherwise some heuristic principles that aid us in reasoning about things, and they abuse certain things like Occam's razor.
Yeah. I saw a definition of phenomenal conservatism. I think they're saying it's like seemings are the case or something like that. So I'm going to see. All right, let me see.
If something appears to be a certain way, I'm justified in accepting it in the absence of a defeater. Well, that's fine under certain circumstances. Welcome, Vidar.
Hey, Pete Morris has confirmed that Dawkins is a racist. Funny enough.
How so? How so?
You were saying some bad words, and because he's racist, he's actually worse. He's trying to justify your racism, Gary.
What bad words did I say?
Oh, you dropped the hard R, he said.
Yeah, you got too much background noise. You got to get closer to your mic.
Gary.
Okay, what bad words did I say?
He said you dropped the hard R, but it's okay because he's dropped it a lot more. Your boyfriend has dropped it a lot more, so he's worse.
Are we going to have a conversation?
No, because you never have a conversation.
If you're going to be obnoxious, I'm going to block your account on the stream. Okay.
Will you tell your mommy on me?
If you want to disagree like a respectful adult instead of a troll, I'm game.
Why do you think you deserve respect from me?
Okay. All right. Have a nice day.
Okay. Live with mommy, racist faggot.
Bye. Do you see? Here's another example of Darth Dawkins derangement syndrome. Ask a Christian on full display.
Yeah.
Remember, he was complaining how I use the naughty word, the N word, but he's calling me the called F word.
Yeah. Did you catch
that?
Yeah. He's saying the R word. He needs to be careful. He needs to be careful. The woke cancel crowd might come after him.
Oh, I know. Look, did you notice he was doing his best to annoy me? Do you think it worked? Oh, gosh.
Very childish.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he says, someone says a Polish word for stuffed cabbage. Interesting. But yeah, so also
stuffed
the word
cabbages. Stuffed cabbage is great. How do you say it? Galakabigi? I love stuffed cabbage. What you got to do is you get a big cabbage head, and then you cut out the stem while keeping the cabbage head intact. Put it in a big pot of boiling water. And as each of these separate leaves start to come off, you get some tongs, you put it on a paper towel. And one by one, as they start coming off and they get cooked, you put them on a paper towel. Then when they've cooled down to room temperature, you take a knife and you cut out any thick remaining stem portions. Then you take your meat mixture, with garlic, chopped onions, mixed with rice, and you mix that all together. And then you take a scoop and you, like an ice cream scoop size, and you put that into the cabbage leaf, and then you just roll it up, on a ceramic pan, coated with like spaghetti sauce with lots of chunks of onions. And then, you cook it, and it comes, it's so good. Nothing like stuffed cabbage. Oh, gosh. I'm sorry. I like all different kinds of food, but there's certain foods that I just love, to like stuffed cabbage. Or how about stuffed peppers?
Stuffed peppers, I had them as well 2 days ago.
Stuffed peppers are just so good.
Yeah. The word for stuffed cabbage in Polish, it's pronounced gołąbki.
Gołąbki? Are you Polish?
Yeah, I'm Polish.
So you're Polish. What makes you an authority on Polish words then?
The fact that I speak Polish fluently.
I'm teasing you. No, stuffed cabbage is so good. Absolutely love it.
Yeah. So it's just like you said, and you when you put them in that ceramic pan or even a pot with some of the tomato sauce and onions, and you just simmer it. You don't cook it too fast. It's just a slow cooking process, right? The heat needs to get through everything very slowly.
Right, you still stay. You're not talking about simmering it on the top of the oven. You're talking about simmering it in the oven.
In the oven, yeah. So it's so good. I mean,
yeah.
I'm glad that you know this dish.
Well, one of my father's employees, I don't know if it was her married name or whatever, but she had a Polish or Slavic sounding name. And every year for Christmas, she would make the family stuffed cabbage. And so as a little kid, I was exposed to stuffed cabbage, and I've loved it ever since. It's just so good.
Yeah, and the word for stuffed cabbage, gołąbki, or a single one is a gołąbek. And gołąbek means a dove in Polish, right?
Okay, wait a minute. So it's, did you say gołąbek?
Gołąbki is the plural for...
okay, because I'm looking at what you wrote, and there's no M. It just says Gola, B-K-I.
Yeah, because in Polish we have these additional letters, and the A with the tail, it's pronounced on.
Oh, okay, there you go. I'm looking at the tail. Okay, so it's gołąbek?
Gołąbek is singular, and gołąbki is plural.
Okay, gołąbki,
yeah.
Gołąbki. All right, I'll remember that when I make it.
And if you forget, just it's a dove. It's like the bird, right? The bird that it's like a city bird, right? It's the gray one. What is the other name for dove?
The pigeon.
The pigeon, exactly, the pigeon. So
yeah,
the bird that ascended unto Christ as a Holy Ghost was the dove, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's the Holy Ghost, or and so the Polish word for dove, to make it sound more serious, you would say gołąb, right?
Did you know that the Poles were instrumental in cracking the German code in World War II?
Oh yeah, because the Polish mathematicians from Lwów, it used to be a Polish city, now it's Ukrainian, and they act like it's been always Ukrainian, but it was a Polish city, and we had a very good university in Lwów, and one of the people that broke the code, I mean, there were several mathematicians there, and I don't know if you've heard of this prime spiral. It's one of the mathematicians came up with that. So you basically, if you have a plain piece of paper with lines running up and horizontally and vertically, and you choose a middle point, and you start with writing down numbers, right? Like in a spiral, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's like goes in a spiral around. You can go clockwise or counterclockwise, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you mark the prime numbers on that piece of paper, right? You can mark it with like a color, right? And then when you are patient enough and you write down, like, I don't know, 1,000 numbers or 10,000 numbers, and you mark all the prime numbers, you begin to see the pattern of the primes, right? And I forgot the name of this mathematician. I'm not sure if he was one of those people that cracked the code for the Enigma, but he might have been.
The Poles are humiliating the Europeans, because the Poles are not stupid enough to let in these Muslim hordes.
Yeah, but our government right now is a left-wing government. That's
unfortunate.
They're doing it. They're starting to do it, and we might get the first wave of immigrants.
Don't they want to learn from what's going on in France and England and Italy and these other?
Oh, I mean, everyone knows about it. It's just some kind of stupid political.
But you notice correctness. How bad? Yeah. So do you notice how it's not just one country where they're behaving badly? In all of these countries, they behave badly.
They basically want to. They should have this phrase, like in US, Trump says, "Make America great again." In Europe, they should say,
"Make Poland great again."
No, all these left-wing European countries, they should say, "Make Europe." Make Europe a third world country. Like make Europe Africa.
Isn't that the truth? Yeah, I know. All right, thanks for coming up. On the issue of stuffed cabbage, one of my all-time favorite dishes.
Yeah. So I'm glad.
Okay, if you're an unbeliever and you would like to challenge the Christian worldview, defend atheism or skepticism, you're welcome to come up.
Yeah.
want to make a comment on the phenomenal conservatism.
Yeah.
So that's interesting to me because I've seen atheists, I've seen Muslims, and I've seen Roman Catholics all say that they use phenomenal conservatism. So I think it's interesting that like they all say this sort of thing.
Yeah, but the question is in which frame, in which context?
Yeah, like which frame, which context?
Yeah. So I showed the overlappingness of phenomenal conservatism with the transcendental argument, Romans 1, but also the difference. So Romans 1 talks about the world appears to be designed being emblematic and indicative of God, but it adds the impossibility of the contrary. Whereas phenomenal conservatism says, in the absence of a defeater. But not everything that they invoke appears that way, fits the bill.
Well, I mean, I would argue one of the major differences is that I guess we would have a personal context, whereas they would have an impersonal context. Like,
yeah. So there's a place for accepting something the way it appears in the absence of a defeater. Okay. So for example, a guy pulls you over with a car that's painted like a police car with a light. He steps out. He has a uniform, a badge. He's got all the regular equipment. Okay. Well, maybe he's a cop, or he could be somebody impersonating a cop.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, because it doesn't lead to like a certain conclusion. It doesn't lead to certainty. You know, it's like if we just speak about appearances, I mean, I'm not sure how that's useful.
Well, certainty is a degree of psychological confidence, and we can have certainty from the Christian worldview based upon God's revelation. But certainty itself doesn't, somebody having a strong psychological confidence about something, it does not amount to a justification or the impossibility of the contrary.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times people confuse and conflate certainty with a justification for a belief.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I would hold like knowledge is that which we could not be wrong about. You know, like direct revelation from God.
If you're dealing with a situation of the impossibility of the contrary, then you can have certitude.
Mm-hmm.
No, Anglican bro, you've worn out your welcome. When I have to ask a question over and over again, and all you give me are vague generalizations without specificity, and I do that multiple times, you've worn out your welcome, at least for today.
Yeah, and if I were to read the definition of phenomenal conservatism from the IAP, Internet Encyclopedia of Philosophy, so it says, phenomenal conservatism is a theory and epistemology that seeks roughly to ground justified belief in the way things appear or seem to the subject who holds the belief. The theory fits with an internalistic form of foundationalism, that is the view that some beliefs are justified non-inferentially, not on the basis of other beliefs, and that the justification or lack of justification or belief. Yeah.
The phenomenal conservatism would deal with inferences. Okay, because you're drawing an inference from the appearance of something.
Yeah, to me, it seems very it's very silly for them to do this. Like, it seems very silly to me.
But you notice that guy Anglican, he failed at his trying to say there was a complete equivalency between tag and phenomenal conservatism, or at least the way I present it. And then his advocacy of evolution.
Yeah, I saw that.
You know, he wants to sit there and say, advocate for theistic evolution. What's the justification of adding on that God as being that God directed it when evolution per se excludes God? When Charles Darwin read his colleague's paper, Alfred Russell Wallace, where Wallace agreed with the idea of evolution and natural selection, Wallace said, but when it comes to the gap between humans and the apes, we have to give the nod to theism. I'm paraphrasing. When Darwin read that in a paper, that while Darwin flipped out. Darwin was typically a very reserved person, but he flipped out and he wrote on his own copy "no" in large letters with 3 exclamation points, and he underlined it 3 times. And so the man who came up with the modern idea of natural selection was adamantly opposed in conjoining the idea of God and evolution.
Like, no.
Well, yeah, you can actually read that. If you read certain biographical material, you'll find it in several places. I've read it a couple of times in biographical material in Darwin. He got a copy of Alfred Russell Wallace's paper that was published in, I think it's called the Quarterly Review, where Wallace said that they had to give a nod to the divine to account for human consciousness, and that evolution per se or natural selection couldn't account for the gap in the human consciousness versus ape sentience. And Darwin wrote on his own paper, "No," capital letters, 3 exclamation points, 3 underlines, right? He thought that was just, no pun intended, anathema.
Yeah.
You know, and Alfred Russell Wallace is considered the co-discoverer of natural selection.
I mean, yeah, that's true. I think
it's amazing. We have over 31 people in here and no intelligent skeptics. None. You see, when they can't run their mouth, when they can't be obnoxious, they can't be abusive, they don't show up. Okay? But occasionally those obnoxious ones will show up because they don't care. But for the most part, many of the more higher caliber skeptics won't come up because they can't behave badly. But then you go onto their streams and they act like, I can't tell you how many atheist streams that I go on. They behave so badly. I had an atheist. I already discussed the Tasmanian devil, where I said that I was incorrect, that it was I misspoke. It was the Tasmanian tiger that is considered to be extinct, whereas the Tasmanian devil is a smaller creature in a marsupial. That there are Tasmanian devils still extant. So I was thinking of the Tasmanian tiger, which is a dog-like creature that I misidentified as the Tasmanian devil. So my mistake was the nomenclature, okay? When I spoke that, I had in mind, and I even invoked that this was a dog-like creature, whereas the Tasmanian devil is not a dog-like creature, right? So my error was in the nomenclature.
I was watching Ian yesterday. He was.
You mean Ian with the dead animal on his head?
Yeah, him. And he was he joined. He was getting himself cooked. Like he joined Redefine's stream. And,
okay. Well, he must have been cooked by Redefine.
Yeah, he got annihilated by Redefine. Like he was.
Hold on a second. Whose stream was it on?
Redefine was hosting it. Like he just started.
His own okay. So I hope he posted it. That would be nice to see.
Yeah. He needs to. I recorded some of it.
Okay. Well, I would love to watch that.
Yeah, I need to message Redefine. I gotta tell him to post that, like, or send it something. It's really.
I would love to see that because Ian is just. I got to be careful what I say because I don't get in trouble. But he's just a clown.
Yeah,
and, and it's sad. I don't want to be holier than that because we're all sinners before God. But when you see people like him, you just like, thank you, God. I'm not so stupid and deceitful like that.
Yeah. I mean,
are you and I at Redefine on good terms? No, I'm not on good terms on him. He decided to throw me under the bus when a fellow participant, Constantine, I confronted him about, significantly lying and concealing his identity. But by the way, I heard Constantine interacting with an atheist the other day, and he was nothing short of over-the-top, obnoxious, and rude in dealing with this inept atheist. Now, I'm not against, sometimes these confrontations being rough and tumble, but Constantine was just over-the-top, unjustifiably, gratuitously rude and obnoxious with this atheist.
Yeah.
And but there's a rift between me and Redefine because, this isn't the first time he's sided with people that are of despicable character. And so Constantine started screaming and yelling at me on Redefine stream. And what does Redefine do? He kicks me and retains Constantine. So that's why there's a rift between me and Redefine. It's not ideological. It's just that he just wants to compromise and suck up to these despicable people.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think Constantine's reasoning is like a little different because during debates and conversations, like Redefine would go one direction and then Constantine would kind of go in another direction with regard to reasoning. But it was interesting. So with the debate, Ian tried to say the quantum wave function or whatever he's saying.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to be rude. It's just like, what does that have to do with anything?
Yeah, exactly. And so then Redefine, he says, is it one? Is it everything just a one, or is it like many? Is it a bunch of discrete? And so then Ian says, oh, it's one. And so then
he's so dumb.
Yeah, he's foolish. And so then Redefine, he's like, okay, well, if you're saying that it's one, then there can't be any distinctions. Everything, we're all
distinctions. Yeah.
And so then Ian, he's like, no, but there's parts, right? There's parts.
So there's distinctions.
Yeah, there's distinctions. Yeah.
Good. So what concretely causes the unity among the distinctions?
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, Ian he wasn't completely tracking what was happening. Like he is kind of lost.
No, because it doesn't fit into his pre-memorized atheist slogans and cliches.
Yep. And then after that, Ian went and he got himself cooked by Truth Knower. He joined Truth Knower's stream and got himself cooked over there. So
that's a delight to hear.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. And then also in the little intermission, he went on some other Christian stream to lecture them about slavery. But That was kind of his.
That's another erroneous thing. They don't understand that the Old Testament does not actually sanction chattel slavery, unless, of course, somebody was a prisoner of war. But even then, they weren't allowed to sell people.
Yeah.
So they're not accurately representing the nature of servanthood in the Old Testament. They're just capitalizing on the poor choice of the word to be translated slave.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta ask Redefine. Like, yeah, Redefine, you gotta upload it or something. I'll ask him.
Stephen Meyer would blow Blitch out of the water. Stephen Meyer would obliterate Blitch, and he is. Yeah. Blitch is a rather inept debater on metaphysics. He may be competent to discuss maybe the intricacies of physics, but when it comes to metaphysics, he's just a run-of-the-mill internet atheist. Ian said he doesn't believe in necessities. Oh, okay, good. Then if nothing's necessary, then there's no reason to believe in regularity. No regularity, no intelligibility. Oh, he just cooked himself. Yeah, Wager, that's a misrepresentation. Come on up, Wager. Please support your contention. Because that's not what happens. I don't call them a-holes because I can't control it. I refer to them under that coarse terminology because that they're being gratuitously obnoxious. Come on up, Wager. And you don't come up and you're going to get your account blocked.
Yeah, these atheist guys, they're kind of just coming up with their own religion. They're just like making up stuff.
Well, if you there's a book in the cloud drive. I think it's in its own separate folder. It's called The Myth of Religious Neutrality by Roy Clauser. And it's an excellent book to read. He's borrowing a lot from Doyerweird. And Doyerweird was one among several people that had a big influence on that too.
So I guess Irie Blue was asking, is putting the antithesis a good recommendation? Yes, it's a good book.
So whatever entity you propose that is not the triune God of the Christian scriptures, it will be missing one or more of the attributes of perfection that the Christian God has. You understand?
What is that? What would those attributes be?
Well, since you're invoking an alternative, what are the attributes that they are missing or don't have that the Christian God does?
It's not missing anything. It's exact.
Well, then it would be the Christian God.
But it's more parsimonious. It's more parsimonious.
No, this went right over your head. You're not understanding.
No, yeah.
If an entity or an identity state has the quote-unquote identical attribute set as the Christian God, then it would be the Christian God.
Absolutely, but it just doesn't have the persons in the same sense.
You're ignoring what.
Then it's missing the Trinity is an aspect that is required for God to be perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, this entity that you're invoking, do you actually believe it?
Yes.
Okay. So, is it a Unitarian conception?
I mean, it doesn't even involve Jesus at all.
You're not answering the question. You're dodging. Is your concept of God Unitarian?
Singularity, absolute singularity.
Okay, so there is not a 3 discrete seats of intellect within the unity of its being, correct?
No, just one intellect.
Okay, so you're advocating a Unitarian conception of God.
Sure.
Now, is God the greatest conceivable being?
Yes, but yeah.
Okay, is God the greatest conceivable being of which none greater can be conceived?
None greater can be conceived.
Right. So if I can think of a God that has greater great-making properties than a God that is proposed that doesn't have all great-making properties, couldn't be God because he wouldn't be the greatest conceivable being. So is a God that is one God but is internally relational and can be fully personal and relational internally before creation? Is that a God that's greater than a God who's Unitarian, who cannot actualize relationality before creation?
So you have an expectation of relationality?
You're not answering the question. Dodge one more time and I eject you without further warning.
Okay.
So the God of the Bible is maximally personal in that he can actualize the essential attribute of love, being other-oriented. Each of the persons are other-oriented toward the other two, and they are relational with each other, being maximally personal prior to creation. Can a Unitarian God actualize love, other-orientedness, and relationality before creation?
I would say that no.
Okay, so then your God is not the greatest conceivable being. So if God is the greatest conceivable being of which none greater can be conceived, and I'm presenting to you the self-revealing triune God who is a greater being than your God, then your God is not the greatest conceivable being. Oops.
Can I challenge your assumption?
No, you can't, because your God is not the greatest conceivable being, is he?
Well, you're saying love requires more.
Is it greater to actualize love and maximal personhood before creation rather than you couldn't? Which would be greater?
Something that could, if you're based off the assumption that love requires multiple divine persons, yes, that would.
Love requires other-orientedness. Okay, so can your conception of God being Unitarian actualize love before creation?
It wouldn't need to. There's no assumption.
Sir, that's a dodge when you say it doesn't need to. Okay, I'm asking you, does it? I didn't ask you, does it need to? I said, does it? Can your conception of God actualize being other-oriented, which is a way of cashing out love before creation? Can your God actualize that?
Well, from what I understand, he is already fully actualized.
Okay, you're not this. Yeah, I remember you now. You just not firing on all cylinders. Okay.
Oh, come on.
Can your God, if a being is a personal being, but cannot actualize the relationality aspect of being a personal being, can they be said to be maximally personal? Oh, he left. Another moron. No, you're not coming up, Anglican. No, you're just dumb, that's all.
All right, guys, I am tired. I'm going to go get a nap. This is 3 hours and 33 minutes. That was a long video. But it's always a blessing when Darth Dawkins crashes my lives and educates everybody. The guy's in his 60s. If he and I both die of natural causes, I'm going to be around a lot longer than he. I'm going to be around a lot longer than he will, because I'm 31. When I'm his age, I don't think he'll be around. So I'm just getting as much as I can from Darth Dawkins. He continues to send me his library when he updates it. So I have a lifetime supply of books to read because of him. And, you know, he's a blessing. He's a blessing. He's very impatient because of all the experience he has with atheists. And atheists can be very, very annoying. I'm getting to that point. But he's truly a blessing to the kingdom of God and to Christian apologetics. Anyways, guys, thanks for coming. God bless you all. Until next time.